What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Technical Fowl Podcast. As always, you're joined by the three of us. I'm Jack Anderson. To my right is JP Pusilowski, and to my left is Sanders Oakley. How we doing today, boys? I know y'all both just finished watching your teams play, so if you real quick, feelings or thoughts about the game.
I feel great right now. We'll talk about it more on our Tuesday show because that's our NFL review, and the Chargers game is one of the games we'll talk about. Huge win. Kind of a crazy game. The Chargers offense looked great looked good in the first half, and then shut down for the second half. Najee goes down, Achilles tear. Everyone knew it immediately. It's probably the worst one, and maybe it's just recency bias, but I mean, dude, the way his calf moved, and it was just, ugh. So that was really unfortunate to see.
Sure.
And then as Tucker pointed out a couple weeks ago, I think it was Tucker. We talked about this, how it's crazy how an offense cannot look great for a long stretch. The Chargers offense scored 3 points in the second half, I think, something like that. And then 2-minute drive or the 2-minute, drill comes up and they just drive down, kick the game-winning field goal, hit the game-winning touchdown. It's just kind of it's like they lock in for out of nowhere.
Sure.
And it's like, why didn't you just do that for the last 28 and a half minutes? So that was awesome to see. Huge win there. Justin Herbert leading the offense. The defense continues to look great. Broncos offense hasn't been great, but we'll get more into that. I feel great. We were here. I was clapping, cheering. The Chargers are making a real fan out of me. I was very nervous, and now I'm very excited, so it's kind of fun.
Fair. Big 3-0 start. JP,
it's huge.
How are you feeling?
Well, now you just tank at this point.
Yeah.
I think what's good is that the team at least doesn't show a capability to win games, even against, I think, poor teams. Now, I'd argue we potentially played 3 playoff teams in the Cardinals, 49ers, and the Seahawks, especially the Seahawks. But that team just was not ready to play whatsoever to be down 21-0 that early. So now you just tank.
Sure.
And now I will be upset every single time the Saints win the rest of the year.
Yeah.
That's the right mindset to have. The good news is if today's showing me anything, y'all probably aren't going to stumble into a ton of wins. But also, the Seahawks, like you said, the Seahawks are actually a pretty good team. When you play the Falcons, probably may stumble into a win there, as Carolina figured out today, stuff like that. So we'll see as it goes. But sorry about the result. Mike, go ahead.
If Spencer Rattler beats the Bills next week, I'll be purchasing a Spencer Rattler jersey.
As you should.
Understandable.
To wrap it up, my Commanders won. Pretty happy with the win, considering no Jaden Daniels. That was in the earlier slot, but we took care of business with a pretty depleted team, so can't complain. But all right,
Tucker makes a great point about the Titans-Saints game in Week 17. He thinks it's around there. Will be for the number 1 pick. That would be very funny to see. I feel like did that happen a couple years ago? The Patriots played somebody. I can't remember exactly what happens. Also, Tucker, we have the soccer game on right now. At some point, we'll also have Sunday Night Football on. But yeah, we've got the soccer game on. State soccer, the return of our former coach, James Armstrong, here in Starkville. I wish we could be there, but yeah. And then it was watching the Saints game. It was a little fun. So it was our third game. We had 2 games on the big TVs, and then we had the Saints game going on the laptop. And we'd be watching. We'd look down and be like, oh, Seahawks scored again. And then 2 minutes later, they scored again. Which when I have a couple Seahawks players in fantasy, so that was great. But it was tough.
Sure. Enough NFL talk, though. We're here for college football.
Let's do it.
To wrap up the weekend, we have full game recaps. We'll do other breakdowns. We'll buy and sell in the show as always. But we're going to start the show breaking down our 3 top 25s, put them up in front of the firing squad, and kind of air out grievances with each other's top 25s, and then we'll do the state preview. But, yeah, let's start with the top 25s.
Yeah, so this is T25sports.com. We put our rankings in there every week. If you see this or if you see it on Twitter, you should do it. It's super fun. You get to see, you put your ballot in, and then it goes into our own AP top 25 where everyone's votes matters and everyone's ballots matters. Super fun. I'll go ahead and lead us off, I guess. I think last week we started with Jack or JP. I went last. I'll go first. I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack because the biggest stuff I caught flack for last week hasn't really changed. big movers. I moved Miami up 1, I believe, from 3 to 2. That was off a win against. Did they just beat Florida? Right. At home, they beat them in Miami. Actually, sorry, no, they stay the same. I couldn't remember if I had them at 2 last week. So they're still at 2. Georgia's at 3. Oklahoma moves up 1, and Florida State. Both those teams move up 1 because I punish LSU a little bit because their big Clemson win is looking worse and worse every week. Punish them a little bit, drop them down to 6. LSU's still a very good team with a great defense, but the Clemson win, which is like their marquee win, doesn't mean as much. I punish Georgia Tech the exact same way, dropping them down to 11th. So LSU and Georgia Tech both suffering because Clemson is now looking more and more fraudulent. A&M moves up to Indiana and Texas Tech with 2 huge wins. We'll talk about both those games later on. Indiana made Illinois like an FCS team, which is crazy. We all picked Illinois to cover going into this game. I think I picked Illinois to win. I don't know if we said that verbatim, but I felt good about Illinois coming into this game, and Indiana just made them look silly.
FCS
Texas
team is too much.
Well, I'm just as far as the score goes, it looked like an FCS score, and 63-10 is that's how much we beat. I mean, we beat Alcorn State 63-0. So it was an embarrassing game.
Much.
Yeah. Wait, too much, too complimentary to Illinois?
No.
Too
Disrespectful.
It's
Okay.
disrespectful.
Okay, cool. Well, Texas Tech moves up, big win over Utah. And then I've got Oregon and Penn State at 12 and 13, 2 very good teams. I still have Penn State. I would pick them to win the championship. They just haven't played anybody, which is why I'm not going to have them ranked above teams who have beat teams that I consider to be good. Same goes for Oregon. They've looked fantastic. They might be the best team in the country. What else do I have? Teams that jump into the top 25: Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and Memphis, 23 to 25. And that's kind of it. The teams that dropped out, I dropped out Illinois. I dropped out California and UNLV. California, a wild late night loss to
San Diego State.
San Diego State. Thank you.
Yeah.
A big Pac-12 win for San Diego State. Who else did I drop? That's all I can think of.
Well, Illinois
Utah,
fell out. And
Utah and
fell
Illinois
out.
both dropped from 12 and 13 to unranked. So, yeah, that's my top 25. Y'all's thoughts? Fire away.
I mean, I hate the placement of Oregon and Penn State. That's kind of what jumps out to me, disregarding. I mean, you dropped Vandy a couple spots, so they're maybe falling into a little more reasonable range. And I get your thought process of they've not played anyone, but I still just disagree with it because they've handled their business very well. Oregon's looked fantastic, especially. So that's kind of really what jumps out to me is having them at 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Seems pretty crazy.
And I know there's going to be pushback on that, and when I made my ballot, I kind of have to be okay with that. But I think that there are other teams who have looked fantastic against lesser opponents and then had a P4 opponent or even a top 25 opponent that they've also beat or dominated. So I think that's why I kind of give nods to those other teams right now.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon technically does have a Power 4 win.
Yeah.
Right,
And
it
they
was-
dominated that Power 4
It was
opponent.
not
So-
Oregon State. It was
Yes.
well. That's not a Power 4 win.
Well, they also beat Oklahoma State as well.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So, I mean, that's a dominant Power 4 win.
Yep. I mean, they were right on the verge of the playoffs only 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Sure.
JP?
A long time ago. It was the year after COVID. Yeah, Oregon and Penn State placement is just, it's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I guess going forward, your top 25s are just resume based. Just resume based.
For probably the majority, yes. But
Okay.
the resumes will become more rounded as we teams play more than just their out of conference opponents, if that makes sense. Because then you'll be able to, they'll have played a comparable level of competition, and that's when I can start to take into account how they looked against.
So you think Vanderbilt's better than Oregon?
No.
Okay. I don't understand Oregon being ranked higher than Vanderbilt. That's one where you could get outlandish. One you could get in
I
the
don't
weeds
have
with
Oregon
is
ranked higher than Vanderbilt.
you have Vanderbilt
He
ranked
flipped it.
higher than
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oregon, and asked if you thought Vanderbilt was better than Oregon.
No, I don't think that. This is not a power ranking. This is
Okay, I misheard you. My
No,
fault.
you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
I may have
that's
misspoken, but
that's terrible. And the Oregon and Penn State, I completely disagree. I guess other than that, no problems. I I don't like this way of ranking teams, though. I don't think it's the right way to rank teams, at least.
Yeah.
I completely understand resumes, but at this point in the season, resumes can't mean everything. And as you said, resumes can clearly change, which is why you've dropped LSU, because the Clemson win doesn't look as good as it did. So are we sure the Vanderbilt win over South Carolina is going to look that good in a month? I'd hope to see Vanderbilt drop.
That's why I did drop Vanderbilt too, because South Carolina goes and loses to Missouri, so I turn around and drop punish them because now their resume looks worse.
Yeah, but it's also like their resume looks worse,
but
right?
in
So
the
you drop
same
Vandy,
time,
but Missouri jumps in because they beat the South Carolina team.
Yeah,
that you're then discrediting Vandy for. I feel like it's I get your logic. I think it's almost an impossible logic to like play out as the season progresses.
Yeah,
like
it
it's
is.
It's impossible to not be contradictory throughout the whole thing.
It's too reactionary too. Indiana, like last week, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech jumping into top 10, and now this week with Indiana, Texas Tech. It's just too reactionary. I don't think you actually believe that Indiana, Texas Tech, and Vanderbilt are all top 10 teams in the country. I just don't think you actually believe that.
No, I don't.
But you're saying they have top 10 resumes,
right?
Yes.
And I hope that like I'm trying to kind of balance it out, and maybe I probably am being too reactionary right now, but like the hope is I'm trying to give respect to teams who have done these things early, so that I'm not just like continuing to rank Oregon and Penn State top 10, because I don't want to like leave teams out later because I didn't give them their props early in the season, if that makes sense.
Kinda, but also like in my thought process, like Indiana made a big jump for me. I actually have them top 10 too. So yes, it's very reactionary, but I'm not going to necessarily disagree with that one. But like, if someone proves me wrong or like didn't give them props earlier in the season, like, well, let me say this: if I don't give someone props early in the season, they're eventually going to prove me wrong, and then I'll rank them, and I'll say I admit my mistake, or they'll prove me right and they'll lose, and it just doesn't really end up mattering. Like, I don't really know if I see the need to like try and force teams up high to like make sure I don't like leave them out. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and now it makes me think about next week with Oregon and Penn State playing. Are Oregon or Penn State going to drop out of the top 25 losing that game? It kind of feels that way with how reactionary this rankings can be. If Mississippi State beats Tennessee, are we going to jump into the top 10? The same
We'll
question,
probably number
I guess,
one
for,
if I had to guess.
for Alabama, if they were to go up there and beat Georgia, maybe they should be in the top 10, but are you going to put them in the top 10 as well? Well, does that mean Indiana, Texas Tech had bad weeks? I mean, Texas Tech beat a really good Houston team, we would assume, next week.
Yeah, an undefeated Houston team. So,
it's just too reactionary for me, and I would understand it if Oregon and Penn State had looked like, Clemson has, but they still had won the games. Like, they were close with Villanova, they were close in the Civil War, they were close with Oklahoma State. They're dominating. Penn State hasn't covered any of the spreads, but the spreads have been 43, 43 and a half. Like, it's big spreads, and they're still dominating. They can only play who they're supposed to play. I unfortunately think that both of them are top 5 teams in the country with the way they've looked out there on the field. They can only play who they have scheduled.
Sure.
So I just don't. It's just a little bit too reactionary, and I don't think it's actually taking into account what the actual teams are.
Yeah.
And how good the actual teams are.
Yeah. And I will be trying to like level that out as we go and we get more context. Like I said, because these teams have played such varying levels of competition, in my opinion, it's really hard to rank how a team looks, because we looked really good against Alcorn State. We dropped 63. We're not a top 10 team. And so when you play such varying levels of competition, it's why like your record is not what you like. It's just hard, I think, to really say, well, a team looks good. Yeah, they're playing a really bad team.
I think an FCS opponent is like kind of a different category than like saying you've played like bad FCS. Like, I'm willing to be like, I agree. Like, if you beat up on an FCS opponent, like, yeah, probably throw that data point out. But like if you can go just week in week out beat up on, even if they're not great FBS teams, like that's got to mean something in my opinion.
Oregon's got 2 Power 4 wins,
Correct.
and I personally count Oregon State still as a Power 4 win, so 3 for me.
Yeah.
They've dominated all of those except the Northwestern game, but they gave up a late touchdown that Northwestern covered the spread with. They were really up 34-7 in that game. The Oregon one is the one I had the most problem with, not the Penn State one. The Penn State one I can kind of understand.
Yeah.
Can I last thing because I don't want to just like we got to move on.
No, you good.
I'm an anti-Texas fan, right?
Mhm.
So Texas has lost the game, has not looked good against subpar opponent until this weekend against Sam Houston State. They've had a big opponent or put up a massive score line. So like, how are they sitting at 15? Because horns down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country, said that they have the best loss in the country.
Is that what your reasoning is?
That's probably part of it. Is like their loss was still a very close loss to the number 1 team in the country. So giving them that benefit of the doubt. Also, they are a very talented roster, if not the most.
But
talented.
that doesn't matter here.
It matters. It doesn't. It's not like I said. It's not. Like maybe I take those things into account subconsciously, and that's why I haven't dropped Texas more. But like I'm not consciously being like, oh my ballot is 75% resume, 20% talent, and 5% eye test. Like I try to do it like it's a mostly resume based, but I there are probably other aspects that like sneak into it subconsciously.
Sure.
I'm not consciously trying to include other weights and measures.
Cool. All right.
Tucker has some questions.
Yeah.
Let's answer 'em.
I was about to move on, but yeah, answer the question, Sanders.
He said that I will absolutely not be putting Alabama in the top 10. We will find out in like 6 days, or I guess 7 days. A week from today, we'll find out.
In Sanders' ideal world, he just doesn't have to even like.
Yeah, in
face
my
that
ideal
problem.
world, that's not a problem I have to face. We will be covering that game, and I will be picking Georgia to cover. I hope that they do, but I hope I don't have to face that problem. Let's see, what else did he say? Has Penn State done more than Ole Miss? Honestly, realistically, probably not. Ole Miss's win over Tulane. I like Tulane. That was a good win for them. I can't remember who else Penn State. The only game I can remember Penn State having played is the Villanova game, off the top of my head. No other like big games stand out. Are they only 3-0? They played 3 games so far. They had a bye week this last week. That's how. Yes, Penn State did have a bye week. They played.
I think so, but
they
I
played
didn't know.
Nevada, FIU, Florida International, and now Villanova.
Watch out for FIU, man. That's a quality squad down in Florida.
Yeah, so I would say probably not. But I mean, I'm not really gonna defend myself there. They are 1 spot apart. I don't know if you're gonna get nitpicky over that. I mean, you're welcome to, but it's 1 spot apart.
Sure.
I don't feel too much need to like trying to defend that.
All right, we'll shift the spotlight.
Move
now.
it on.
We'll
Who wants to go
shift
next?
This, unless you want to give one last. But
No, I'm
okay.
good. I'm good. I've talked for probably
I can go next.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll
Jack,
get
you're
the
up.
spotlight off of you. Biggest changes for me is Utah drops out after their loss, and I didn't have Texas Tech ranked, so Texas Tech makes a big jump to 14.
Here, let me pull up your ballot over here.
That'd
so you
be
can see.
great. I believe they'd make a jump up to 14, and Utah drops out. And then Indiana makes a massive jump into my top 10, and Illinois falls not out, but they dropped 13 spots down to the 23rd team in my ballot. Other jumps or risers, I mean, Tennessee's crept up a little bit. Texas drops another spot down to 10, mainly because Indiana makes this massive jump. But realistically, not a ton of movement in my top 25. The teams that join, Missouri comes in at 24. Hail State, Mississippi State, I have them ranked at 25.
Let's go.
And then I already mentioned Texas Tech and Indiana making their jumps into the top 25. So that's what I have. I think my top 7 is the exact same.
Yes, your top
8 are
has
the
not
exact
changed.
same.
Yeah, I mean, my one, like, Illinois, how do we feel about the Duke win now, and then a beat down against Indiana? And the game, I didn't watch the whole thing because, like, once it got big, I started watching other games.
Sure.
But I mean, maybe there's an argument to be made there that it fell apart early, and then not that it was closer than the score dictates, but like if you played that game like 9 more times,
It doesn't-
would
they don't
not
lose by
play out the same
53.
way. Because that's how I feel. Like my go-to example is like the Georgia TCU championship. It was like 65-7, 63-7. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was like 60-something to 7, a huge blowout. I think if that game's played like 9 more times, it's a lot closer every single time. Maybe that's an argument to be made in the Illinois-Indiana game, but like, what's the thought process for still having Illinois ranked? Like, because you still think they're a top 25 team, I guess?
Yeah. So Indiana makes this massive jump. I now view them as a top 10 team. Very, very impressed with what I saw on the field. They very much look the part, right? And so then I go, if I view them as really that good, yes, I know Illinois got spanked, but it's 1 week, and I've liked what I've seen from Illinois other weeks, and I think there can be a massive or a big gap between top 10 teams and teams in like the 23, 24, 25 range. Like, I don't expect the 23rd overall team. I mean, sure, I like them to, I expect them to have a game closer to the 6-3-10, but I don't expect them to go win at the 9th best team in the country. Like, that's not supposed to happen. And then also talking about the Duke win, Duke did go beat NC State this weekend, who I had as a top 25 team. So you go on the road and beat Duke. I still think that's a pretty solid win. I'm just not ready to drop them out and think they're not a top 25 team yet, as bad as that loss looked.
That's fair.
Saturday.
The other thing would be, I'm trying to figure out like the Texas Tech thing, because like they beat your number,
16.
they beat Utah number 19,
yeah,
and jumped from unranked to 14, and then Michigan beats Nebraska, who you didn't have ranked. I don't know how you feel about Nebraska, but like they were both like road wins. Texas Tech moves up like 12 spots from unranked to 14, and then Michigan drops one. So like, what's the thought process there?
As much as mine is mainly power rankings, there are some resume aspects to it. Michigan does still have a loss, so currently that like somewhat caps their ceiling.
That's fair.
Unless they went and beat like Oregon or Penn State or something like that, but they beat it. I probably would have had them top 30, top 35 last week in Nebraska. They go beat them, close game. Texas Tech just kind of dominated Utah, had that game from the get-go aside from turnovers, and then just ran away with it at the end. And I just came away very impressed with it. My hesitation on Texas Tech was I knew they were talented and they'd look the part against these weaker teams. But it's hard to assess a transfer portal team, a team that's come together in the portal, because this doesn't always work. But what I saw on the field against Utah, a team I do like, and they dominated them, I was like, okay, the pieces have come together. The offense is ready to play. The defense is so good. That defensive line is great. So, like, I was very happy with what I saw. So, feel very confident in them being a top 15 team right now.
Yeah. Cromie asked, and yet Notre Dame has 2 losses and is ranked ahead of Michigan. I feel like I'm not even going to attack that one because, like, while I don't have Notre Dame ranked, like, I get it. Like, Notre Dame is just still a good team.
It's also like we had the argument last week. So, and then
not going
really
to hash it out again. I just wanted to point out Cromie mocking you.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, there's talking about you, the way you do it is like very hard to not be contradictory. It's kind of the part of doing a ballot of like, I can say I do it this way, I can say I do it that way. A lot of ways at the end of the day, it's
you just do
who I think are my top 25 teams, and that's like what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and pull things to keep me objective, but it's my ranking at the end of the day. So,
yeah.
Thoughts, JP?
I don't know. I'm surprised with the the not changing of anything in the top 8. I thought Oklahoma could potentially get some kind of jump. LSU I think is just a little bit too high.
Sure.
Sitting there at 3. I think Miami played better than LSU did against Florida. And Miami also has a win over one of your ranked teams in Notre Dame. Clemson obviously is not ranked anymore. I would kind of expect Miami to be higher than LSU. And then the Penn State is in there in the middle. I'd flip Penn State and Oregon. I think.
Do Miami and LSU now have 2? No, just the one common opponent. Florida.
Just Florida. I would flip Penn State and Oregon.
Fair.
Personally. But other than that, no issues. I mean, no alarming changes. I think Cromie makes a good point. Notre Dame might I thought was too high last week, and I still think
Sure.
is too high. Last week after they were kind of in a shootout with Purdue, although they almost doubled up on points of Purdue, but no issues for the most part.
Sure. I'll touch on just kind of your minor grievances real quick, and then we'll get to yours. I'm in love. That sounds gay, but like I'm in love with the LSU defense. I think it's so good.
Sure.
And considering their previous issues, I would rather them currently be an elite defensive team and have some issues offensively, because I have more faith in the offense coming around than if it was another year of another bad defense, but the offense is good. And then I just think Notre Dame's offense is so good that even if their defense doesn't come around, because I agree, like giving up that many points to Purdue is not really what you want to see,
Mm-hmm.
but you can be a top 20 team with not a great defense, but just an elite offense. Good luck getting top 5, top 10, but they're not there. So I did check, because Sanders always comes with this very different than what we do perspective on it. Well, we have 24 of the 25 teams are the same in our brackets. Difference is I have Illinois, and I don't know who you have instead of Illinois down at the bottom. Arizona State is
yes.
the flips, and they're both at 23. Interesting. But yeah, we have 24 of the 25 same teams. But anyway, you can reveal your bracket now.
All right, your ballot, JB. JP.
Yeah, your ballot. Sorry, not your bracket.
Yeah, we're gonna
We're
do
almost
March
there.
Madness. It's a March Madness show. All right,
I
your
mean,
ballot's up.
I'll probably end up doing bracketology
That'd
for
be fire.
this show, so we'll get there
Electric.
at some point. But we're actually less than 50 days from state basketball, so
That's
yeah,
so
but you don't
exciting.
get to bracketology until really turn of the new year, right?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna like
I mean,
make stuff up on the get go?
maybe after like the Maui, once
Sure.
I've seen a lot of the good teams, we'll see. My ballot, still Georgia top, still Ohio State at 2. I thought Miami was impressive defensively against Florida, and with how impressive Florida's defense was, again, like Tucker had mentioned, like that was for them to be able to put together a drive at the end of the game and make the statement and really extend the game and keep it out of reach. I thought was a statement that their offense showed up when they needed to, and that's now 2 games where their offense has shown up when they needed it to, against Notre Dame and against Florida. Now we'll just wait for 2 weeks from now when they go to Tallahassee and play Florida State. I dropped Penn State down to 4 because of Miami's performance. And now looking on it, I think I probably should put Oregon at 4, not Penn State. But I'm going to use it as a predictive measure for how I think this upcoming weekend is going to go. Just get out there in front of it. And I just think Penn State's going to win that one. So Penn State's at 4 and not 5. Oregon's at 5. A&M stays the same. Oklahoma moves 1 spot ahead of LSU with, I thought, an impressive performance against Auburn, where not everything was working when it needed it to. You cheat. Auburn kind of gets cheated out of some plays, but winning teams win.
Yeah.
And they won point blank. Like that's the only other way you can put it. Oklahoma won on Saturday. So I've got them moving up a spot. The big drop is Illinois. I'm pretty sure was sitting there at 10 last week. And
14.
Oh, Utah was sitting there at 10
Yes.
last week. Utah losing. I have Utah all the way out. They were uninspiring, would be the words I would use
100%.
on Saturday, especially offensively. Devon Dampier looked extremely limited against that Texas Tech defense, which is not something I had seen so far. Definitely surprised me. So they dropped all the way out because of Tech and State have moved up. Florida State, that is. Tennessee moves up to 12, and then I have shout out CT, Texas Tech. The Red Raiders jumping up to 13. I thought they were more impressive than Indiana, and so I have them higher than Indiana. Michigan, I thought, had a really impressive win against Nebraska. I thought Bryce Underwood looked a lot better, and I'm excited to see how that continues to grow. With the Red Raiders, the Hoosiers, and the Michigan performance, Iowa State drops for me. Nothing changes all the way down. Arizona State moves up a spot. And then I have the Huskies moving in. And there's a team at 25.
Sure.
That's about it, though, for the rankings. Any questions?
I mean, no major qualms. I obviously have Indiana above Texas Tech, so I view the quality of those two teams differently. But I mean, that's splitting hairs in that aspect. And then other stuff is kind of things we've already talked about. I guess we just need to keep Bryce Underwood away from Sharon Moore. Let Biff run the team. That's all we need.
There were Bryce Underwood design runs on Saturday, and that was a sight to see.
Yeah. I also figured out Biff is a Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream
Yep,
fan,
that was
as I am
huge.
as well. That's my go-to. So that's even more points for Biff.
Yes.
But no issues overall, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm not going to get into it too much. I think it all just comes down to, like, we disagree in our approaches, and that's why we disagree about our ballots. So I'm not really going to hash that out since we're already 30 minutes into the show.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool.
I do think it's funny. Chromie goes finally some Washington respect, and I think have them ranked higher than any of us.
Well, I think he
No,
means
me and you are
in
tied.
terms of
From-
JP.
talking
JP's
about
finally
me.
ranked
Okay,
him.
yes, I see. As
So
I was
this
saying,
is
me and Jack
JP's
have
first.
been respecting
I've
Washington.
had them
but
ranked since week 1,
Yep.
so I'm a day one Washington Husky
I
fan
am
this
not.
year, as always, and they will be brought up later in the show as well.
That's
Just a
exciting.
teaser for the stock market later on. But we can get into the state game. Mississippi State played yesterday at 3:15 was kickoff, and Northern Illinois came into town. MAC team that's had pretty good success against Power 4 teams recently. The spread was 21. Unfortunately, after a slow first half from Mississippi State, Northern Illinois, they can't get it done, so State wins 38-10, covers. Thoughts on the game, guys?
I was nervous about the spread. I don't remember exactly how it played out. We ended up having to take a field goal. And JP, you might remember better than me. It was when you texted that Northern Illinois will not be covering the spread. Because the way it played out, we needed 2 more touchdowns after that for us to cover the spread. We ended up getting them both. We got the ball back with like a couple minutes left. On our last drive, they made the announcement about thunder and lightning in the area. Turns out it was in 10 miles, and so we continued to play. We ended up scoring the touchdown that helped us cover, as opposed to delaying the game or just ending it short. So I was sitting there like fingers crossed. I was very worried about a weather delay being a wild backdoor cover for the Huskies. We ended up covering 28. The spread was 21.5. So that was huge for us. But I think it kind of played out some of the ways we talked about. Northern Illinois, very physical. But it was, I think, a great test for us. That was kind of the thing I was watching for, was to see how we handled a team that was going to be a lot more physical than Alcorn State, especially a team that has some experience competing, like you said, with P4 opponents, beating Notre Dame last year. But they averaged over 4 yards per carry, 4.6. But it's like seeing the way we were able to compete with that team and still out physical them, even as big as they were. Not as big as they were, but like they were very aggressive. So that was cool to see. Blake Shapen continues to take hits. I hate him taking. And now it turns out like his teammates agree. Did you see the Devon Booth post-game interview?
No.
He at one point they ask about I'm sure you know the play. It's in the south side of the field. He scrambles out, rolls to the right. He picks up the first down, looks to basically looks at the boundary, and then just like lowers his shoulder into the safety back in the field. They asked Devon Booth about that play. He goes, "Yeah, Blake's taking too many hits. Like I've told him like we need him, and he's taking too many hits." So it's not just us. It's not just State fans. Like everybody knows it. And me and JP talked about it after the game. I think this is kind of what you sign up for, having Blake Shapen. JP said it well. Like it's how he plays the game. I'm sure that if you asked him, he would say, "Yeah, I know I don't need to take hits. Like I know these."
But
things.
I don't care.
But like I don't think he is like, and maybe it is like a conscious like decision of like I'm going to go in games looking for contact and looking to lower my shoulder and pick up the extra half yard. I kind of doubt it. I imagine that's like conversations that are being had with like quarterback coaches and like taking care of yourself, and it just kind of like his like instinct is just like fight, which we love him for, like, you know, being a fighter and like being able to lead the team. He's done a fantastic job. Blake Shapen continues to take hits. Isaac Smith picks up his first interception of the season. That was huge. Isaac Smith is a dog. We had a rebuild in college football 25 at Mississippi State. Isaac Smith got drafted, you know, played all 4 years for us, was an absolute legend. So seeing him get that interception first of the year was really cool. But we ran into some NIU fans. Very nice. But yeah, it was a huge win. It was, hold up, what was the, I had a tweet. It was State is now one of 4 teams that is 4-0 and also undefeated against the spread. There are some teams that are 3-0 and undefeated against the spread, but there's a lot of teams that are 3-0. So I made a graphic. It was a Venn diagram to kind of mock ESPN because they did a Venn diagram wrong, so I did one right, and kind of showed ESPN how to do it. But that was huge. The other teams are Memphis, Arizona, and Texas Tech.
Shout out there.
Wait. Memphis, Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. I don't know why I said Arizona. They've been in my brain all day. Memphis, Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. So those are the teams that are 4-0 and undefeated against the spread. That was exciting. But yeah, that's kind of like my initial takeaways. JP?
I wasn't surprised with how kind of the game went, especially with them hanging around very early. I told you that was going to happen. I told y'all that was going to happen. That's just what Northern Illinois does. They hang around in games. They're up 10-7 in the second quarter of this game, so they're not unfamiliar to being in games with bigger teams, better teams. Holst was fine. I didn't, appreciate the hate for my hate that I was receiving. He made some good throws, but he was never really in control of the game. He was better than trash, which is what I called him on Thursday. But I mean, the pick to Isaac Smith was terrible.
Should have been PI, so he should have got bailed out.
Straight up terrible. Week after week, it feels like quarterbacks are just trying to one-up themselves with the worst interception possible. Holst just takes a snap, stares his receiver down the entire way, and it's just free money. It's food for Isaac Smith. No intention to look off the safety, no intention pre-snap to determine whether or not he's got one-on-one. He just assumes, overthrows, pick. That was kind of unsurprising, but also it's like, dude, how are you a collegiate quarterback and making that kind of decision? But there were more negatives, I think, for State than there were positives in this game, even though we covered the spread. 11 penalties for 103 yards. We had poor special teams play until we had the block punt. Levy said in his post-game interview we have to get rid of the 3-and-outs, especially when you run at the kind of pace that we like to run at. You saw that in marquee games, like with Tennessee, in the Tennessee-Georgia game, when Tennessee, like it's not rocket science, but when they were getting going 3-and-out, the energy in the building is drawn out. The energy in the offense is drawn out. It feels like you're way further behind than you actually are, or you're way less ahead than you actually are. We only had 2 3-and-outs yesterday, but there's essentially a third where we picked up a first down, then had a 3-and-out. That kind of has to stop, especially if you're going to do it against Northern Illinois. Like, we need to be able to pick up at least 10 yards to start a drive and kind of get it going. Shapen missed 3 deep balls that were just overthrown or just straight up misses, but he did make the throw of the day in the fourth quarter, and that was unbelievable in person and then unbelievable when I went back and watched it. His throw to Anthony Evans, they go cover zero, everybody is blitzing, linebacker has a free shot at him, he gets it barely off, it's Anthony Evans in stride, gets hit right after. It was beautiful, kind of sealed the game, and just basically said, okay, we got Rapid and Maroon and White, the Bulldogs won. Xavier Gayton's going to join the running back room, apparently. He only had, I think it was 4 or 5 carries yesterday. But Lebby said he's going to be part of a 3-man group with Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth. I disagree. I continue to give Booth and Bothwell carries. I just think they're better than Xavier Gayton.
What year is Gayton?
I think he's a sophomore.
I think he's also
Gotcha.
a sophomore.
If I'm not mistaken.
Real quick tangent. I
Sure.
hate deep running back rooms.
I like 2 back, and that's it.
I agree. A&M, I mean, I know it's like against weaker opponents, but even when the game's close, right, we were using like 5 guys. Even against Notre Dame, like 4 or 5 different guys got carries. And I want my running backs to get into the flow of the game. I want them to be able to feel it out. And then I think that just matters so much. And then when it's in the second half and they already have 8 to 10 carries and they're just ready to go, they've been hit a couple times, they know what to expect, and then they can just wear at the defense and take over. I think when you use more than 2 guys, you kind of lose some of that. But continue.
Yeah, and it didn't really show up in this game, but it sounds like that's going to be what it is going forward. Like, Bothwell had 6 or 17 carries, Booth had 7, and Gayton had 4, like I said. So it wasn't the case in this game, but it sounds like that's going to be the case going forward, is a way more split backfield. And like we are saying, I don't think that's the right move. Chapin, his numbers are unimpressive, but like I said, he missed 3 deep shots that would have been touchdowns had he had hit any of them. In stride, positives, though, I mean, we shut down Northern Illinois' rushing attack. We got through some adversity early on. Like I said, rushing attack. Siobhan Wright and Telly Johnson had 47 yards and 46 yards. And Telly Johnson had the 32-yarder to start the game, and that was really all he had to produce. So that was a positive for a team that ran it 2 out of every 3 plays coming into the game. They only ran it half of the amount of plays, partially because they were trailing, but it was also because they just weren't getting as much in the ground game as they were expecting. And I thought that was a positive going forward for the team. And then the biggest one for me is our rushing attack. We rushed for 292 yards. That is an extreme positive. That was something we talked about after the Arizona State game, was we were curious if we were going to have some kind of rushing attack. We're going to need some kind of rushing attack this coming weekend and weeks coming forward to be in games, for the defense to respect that, for the safeties to creep down, for the over-the-top shots to be there. And we run for 292 yards across the entire game, and I thought that was very impressive. I thought that was the most impressive thing of the weekend. There were kind of cries about the lack of fans showing up in the student section as well. It was hot.
It was very hot.
I did not really sit down. Anytime we went to commercial, I walked under to get in the shade. It was really, really hot. I'm surprised I'm not as sunburned as I thought I would be.
Sure.
Sun was out. It was hot the entire afternoon. It was hot over in the tailgating area under tents and shade with a fan on you. So it was hot out there on the field. Apparently there were temperatures of over 100 degrees recorded down on the field, especially on the turf.
Yep. My camera that I have to use overheated about a dozen times.
Yeah.
And it literally, the worst part was, so like the camera I use is like a traditional like photo camera that like sits on a gimbal, so it like balances and everything, so I don't have to hold still. I can move and it'll level itself. And I get to sit in the end zones. I do all the pregame stuff. I get to run out with the team. Super cool stuff. I actually have the footage now, so I'm gonna start like tweeting some of the clips I've got. I already tweeted one. Very cool. It's literally the Brennan Thompson walk-off touchdown from Arizona State. I shared that. But I sit in the end zones and wait for touchdowns. And I think it was like it was an Anthony Evans touchdown, I believe, in the south end zone. I literally get up to go over there and start recording it, and my camera just shut down. I mean, I was so mad. But yeah, the weather, it was miserably hot. Hoping for better weather this weekend against Tennessee. But yeah, as someone who was on the field, it was pretty awful down there.
Yeah, it was not fun.
It should be a little bit better this coming weekend.
I've heard highs like the low 80s.
High is 81 currently.
Not a lot better. And I don't think it's going to matter, is what I was getting to with the student section and the lack of fan out there. It's next week. It's going to, if it's not sold out, I'm going to be extremely upset with the fan base.
We're 1,500 tickets away, and we've got 6 days to go.
So then I expect it to be sold out. I will also be disappointed in the fan base if there's a ton of Tennessee Orange there on Saturday, which
How much constitutes a ton?
more than 25%.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say like 10 or 15.
You got to be realistic with
Yeah.
Tennessee. I feel like they're going to get some tickets.
Yeah, they are. And the unfortunate point my mom made, and I hadn't considered this, is because it's a whiteout, it might end up looking like the Tennessee home game because all you're going to see is orange and white, which is going to be because it's going to be 20. If 25,
You'll see those maroon cowbells.
True. But if it's 25% Tennessee fans and they're all wearing orange, which they are because they're like when you travel, you wear your color.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 25% orange and then like 60% white, and then like what is that? 15% maroon. So
Sure.
I'm a little nervous about it looking like a Tennessee home game. It's not going to sound like it, I don't think. I'm not worried about that. But just optically, it's going to look a little goofy because it's a whiteout.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because weather-wise, the whiteout will be a blessing, a huge blessing. But it is going to look a little odd.
That's fair.
that doesn't matter until Thursday.
I was about to say.
True. Great point.
I do want to say, though, there were another positive. Cal Ferry makes a 48-yarder for him to get another long kick under his belt is a positive. And then Ethan Pulliam, 2 punts, 50 yards on average. He's got to be the starting punter going forward. Like, I know Tice, like, he shanked one. That's going to happen here and there. But Pulliam has the stronger leg, and what only made sense for the 2-punter approach was what I thought originally was that it was one is the long-distance punter and one is the guy who's going to pin him deep, Nathan Tice being the one to pin him deep. But that's clearly not the case, and Levy said it was not the case either, that they were still fighting for the job coming into this weekend.
Gotcha.
So I think Pulliam has won the job, and it sounded like that, at least in the post-game interview, that Pulliam has won the job, and he should win the job. He had 2 punts, both 50 yards, both pinning Northern Illinois inside the 20. So positive on top of that.
I'm happy for him because I would have felt really bad if he quit baseball just to be the backup punter.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, you made the decision. You got to stick with the result. But that just would have sucked a little bit.
But that kind of completes all of my takeaways for the most part. The negatives, I think, hurt a little bit, especially the penalties.
Penalties were tough.
Shapen, putting himself in danger, those kind of things I don't like.
We ended up with 11 penalties for over 100 yards. So,
But you won, covered the spread. You're 4-0. You've already hit the over on the season win total. And now you just look to secure 2 more wins. I talked about it on Wednesday with one of my buddies. It is crazy to think that with the state of this program that we are all cheering to make the Liberty Bowl, and yet here we are. If we make the Liberty Bowl and go 6-6 this year, it would be an ecstatic feeling in Starkville.
It's like a 95th percentile outcome on the season.
Yep.
Yes.
It'd be huge.
You can't hate that. Cool. Well, I'm happy State got the win. I don't really have anything to add.
Oh, I forgot. I put the graphic I made in this form in the
Well, there it
thingy.
is.
But yeah, there it is. I was cooking that up on my little phone, going to cookout last night. Very fun. But yeah, where State is doing very good right now.
I will say,
Up there with some elite teams like the
Yeah.
Memphis Tigers and Vanderbilt Commodores.
real quick trivia for you before we move on, JP. There's one 5-0 team in the country. Who is it?
This is not. Oh no, you're not gonna get it. There's no way.
UNLV?
No, you
No.
give him the hint that like.
It's FCS.
Oh.
Yeah, that's. No, if UNLV was 5-0,
so
they'd
the
be ranked in my
Jackrabbits
ballot.
or Bison?
Nope.
Mercer.
Tarleton State.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah. Texas. Everything's better in Texas. So
What game do we want to do next? We don't have to go in this order. I don't. Well, let's
yeah,
start
let's
with
let's
Wofford
go
with Virginia
to the
Tech.
Technical Foul fan game of the week, which
Courtesy of Karomi.
shout at us. We all picked Wofford to cover, and Wofford did cover despite losing at Virginia Tech 38-6. Just have a couple notes on this game. Jaden Whitaker ended up starting again for Wofford at QB, despite what I said in the preview, and he was all right, I guess. Nothing special. Maybe we'll see if Virginia Tech can build off of this. The biggest positive for Virginia Tech should be there were 58,000 people in the stands, and the capacity 66,000, and the energy was really good for a game where you're 0-3 and your coach just got fired and you're playing an FCS team. You have to be very happy with the fan engagement. The fans haven't given up on the season, at least in terms of caring. I'm sure they're not expecting many wins, but you got to at least hold on to that and be happy with that if you're a Virginia Tech fan or a Virginia Tech player or the interim coach. I enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, it looked awesome. I saw the video of Inner Sandman, and it was like you said, it was electric in there. So that is really cool for Virginia Tech. I don't know who's next up on their schedule. Have they already? So I assume they start conference play probably this week if they haven't already.
They're at NC State.
Yeah.
On the CW.
Oh, that's electric.
Shout out the CW, man. You don't beat that.
I mean, that means more fans in the stands because you can't. I don't know how you watch that on TV.
Yeah. I don't really have much more to say. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch a minute of this game.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
I was checking the score very often to monitor the spread. and we did cover once again. So well done us.
Yeah.
JP, did your guy? What's your friend's name?
Samuel Cornett, he played multiple snaps
I
in the
don't think
game,
he did not have
0
reception.
targets, 0 receptions.
Dang.
But he was there. I can confirm he was there, and he played snaps.
That's cool.
But unfortunately, his Wofford Terriers are 0-4. They have, I will say, lost to 3 FCS playoff teams and Virginia Tech.
So there's hope.
They may. I don't think there's FCS bowl games, so I don't
No.
know if 6
But
wins
they're
puts
also
them in eligibility.
yeah no but their playoffs are expanded. They have do they have a 32 team playoff, something like that?
Something like that. But I
It's on
don't
the
think
larger
they're
size.
going to be in playoff contention
Yeah.
with already 3 playoff
Probably not.
losses and 8 games to go. But Sam was there and he did play.
Cool. It's the interim coach effect. Yeah.
10-point dogs does seem pretty generous, but NC State did lose to Duke, and their quarterback, who went very high on CJ Bailey, threw 3 picks in that game. The defense for NC State is just not good enough to really be a massive favorite in any game, I don't think. So that's probably why they're only 10-point dogs.
Wasn't your buy and sell last week? CJ Bailey gets drafted ahead of DJ Lagway or something.
Yeah, he's still young. He's
Yeah,
looked,
no,
he's
I
looked
wasn't-
way better
no,
than
no,
freaking DJ Lagway.
No, that's what I was just gonna make. It's funny, like we did that, and then he turns
is
around and
funny.
throws 3 interceptions after Lagway threw 5. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna one up him." Like,
Yeah,
not that he won. Like 3 is less than 5, but the joke is there.
You're correct. It's tough. I watched some of it. I think he was just trying to do too much at times. I don't know if his head got too big or what, but I'm still high on the kid. Anything else on this game before we move on?
Nope, I will not be making this a video. I don't think.
No.
That's crazy. Disrespectful, man. Lock in. All right, we can move on. I'll let you decide where the win takes us, Sanders, in terms of next game.
Next game, let's do. I feel like start with this game and then do the 2 like. I don't.
2
know.
of them weren't that close. If you're trying
Yeah.
to say one
Let's
of the
save the close one
Okay.
for last. So I'm
Okay.
gonna drag that down there. Let's just start Illinois at Indiana. That's where we're gonna just kick it off.
huge matchup to kick off Big Ten play for these 2 teams. Illinois goes to Indiana. We were expecting a close game. I try to refrain from cursing on the show, but this was belt to ass. It was a demolishing, snot pounding, ass beating, pulverizing.
Butt whooping.
Just Indiana beat Illinois into the concrete, basically. Was not pretty. Indiana wins 63-10.
Guarantee it's the Sarah McLaughlin special
Yes, it's got to be.
on tonight's Josh Page show.
To kick off
Yeah,
this segment,
probably.
I'm going to read off some stats from this game because the amount of padlock stats in this game is crazy, but also like sometimes the stats don't tell the full story.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at some of these stats, it tells a story. Indiana 579 total yards, Illinois 161 total yards. Indiana 39 minutes and 43 seconds of possession. Illinois 20 minutes and 17 seconds of possession. 31 first downs for Indiana, 9 for Illinois. 1 of 10 on third downs for Illinois. 1 turnover for Illinois. Only 2 rushing yards for Illinois. Indiana had 312 rushing yards. Passing yards per attempt, Indiana 11.6, Illinois 6.4. Just like anywhere you look, it's bad in the stats for Illinois. Got manhandled pretty badly. But with that said, thoughts on this game, guys?
Well, Indiana took away everything that Illinois, at least offensively, was good at, for starters. They pressured Altmaier. Altmaier's always kind of been questioned about his ability to handle pressure. They sack him 7 times. They had 10 TFLs on top of that. They took away Illinois' rushing game, which is much more needed for their offense to run than Indiana. They had 29 rushing yards that, if you don't include the sacks for Altmaier, so
Sure.
they also only had 11 carries, and that is partially because they were out in front so early. Altmaier and Illinois is forced to throw the ball, but Illinois also only ran 45 plays. Like, they just weren't out there offensively. They had 3 and outs many, many times throughout the entire night. Altmaier was fine, but, like, besides the long touchdown to Colin Dixon, there really wasn't anything that pointed out for them offensively. And so offensively, they were dominated the entire night by Indiana's defense, blocking the punt still in the special teams for a touchdown. I mean, to start the game that way is huge domination. And then Indiana's offense was purely dominant the entire way, rushing the ball with Kobe Martin, Kalen Black, and Roman Himby. And then Omar Cooper has another great game. Elijah Surratt has his best game, second best game of the season. And they were just Fernando Mendoza looked excellent. His footwork was great again. I said on Thursday I just felt like Indiana was playing better football.
That's you hitting the nail on the head Thursday. So
that one was for sure correct. I didn't pick Indiana to cover the spread. I just thought 6.5 points was too much. But if there was anyone who was correct on a kind of a bold take on Thursday, I'll take full credit for it in thinking that Indiana was playing better, and they played better again on Saturday night. The crowd was electric as well. Kurt Cignetti was great throughout the entire game. He's just one of those coaches that it doesn't matter what the score is. He's still going to get in his players' faces and let his players know that bro, you're messing up or something like that. Nick Saban is like that. Not to compare Kurt to Nick, but he's just one of those
It was
coaches.
what came to my mind as well, because you see all the clips of Saban doing the same thing. So I completely agree.
And even in a game where they are just completely dominant, he's still finding things to take apart, and that's what winning teams do. Indiana was unbelievably impressive, and Mendoza again was really, really good. Now they have 2 tests later on in the season. They go to Penn State and they go to Oregon. I'm not convinced they'll win either of those games, but I think with the way they looked on Saturday, there's a chance.
They have a legit chance.
Yeah.
A couple other things I want to point out. One, we talked about in the preview with Altmaier, he's going to take what's given to him and play it safe. But I'm just going to read some of the third and distance for Illinois on the night, which is why they ended up going 1 for 10 on third down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in order of the game: 3rd and 5, 3rd and 13, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3, which is the one they convert, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 4. So 5 of those, half of them, are you're behind the sticks on third down, and that's just you're not putting Altmaier in a position to be successful, because Indiana's going to just drop the zone and just make you take underneath stuff and then rally and tackle. And on the flip side, Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper basically scoffed at Indiana's man coverage and the scheme. They just ran man beaters all night, and Illinois just couldn't stick with those 2 guys. I know Xavier Scott was out, but I'm not really sure how big of a difference that would have made with the 2 of them. So
Yeah.
just good stuff all around from Indiana, honestly.
Yeah, Andrew, I think he very well could become a prospect. I don't think he would ever get into consideration of where Nussmeier is right now, or where Lenore Sellers or Drew Aller are, just because physically I don't think he's as gifted as them. But with the way he's looked so far, you just watch him play and you think, yeah, that's a quarterback who can play well. Now, I would say he's been under zero duress, zero pressure, both physically from pass rush and in the game itself. They have been in control of every game so far. He's gotten everything he's wanted. So there's still maybe some questions about how he would play in a competitive game, in a close game. But he's kind of also answered that last year with Cal in their games, at Auburn. He was great towards the end of that game. And then in the Miami game that they should have won, he was great in that game as well. So he's kind of already answered that. I will say, though, the way the throws he's making are some of the best throws of the weekend, every weekend. He is throwing the ball with conviction. He's putting it on a line. He is making throws that not every quarterback in the country can make, and that is something you can't teach. That is just something that you have, and he is the amount of confidence he's playing with. He very well could, get himself into draft consideration. But I think right now his ceiling is a second-round pick. But he could get drafted in the first round just because of that 5th-year option.
Sure.
But he's playing incredible so far, and he looks incredible so far.
A lot of his
We'll see how he looks against Oregon and Penn State on the road. That's when I would really
Sure.
Like to see him, and then we can really try to make a case for him.
He's done everything that Indiana's asked of him up to this point, which you don't
Mhm.
hate to see. I think a lot of it, they like, for his draft, status is what do the guys above him do? Because I don't know if he can, with what I expect from him, even with an adjusted, expectations for how well he's played so far, I don't really know if he's going to go somehow like, for example, like you said, like jump Nussmeier or jump a Drew Aller. I think they would kind of have to continue to play bad and drop below him, if that makes sense. So, any thoughts on this game, Sanders?
No, I was going to ask JP the exact same question Andrew did about Mendoza and his pro potential. What year is he? Is this his final year, or does he have another year after this?
He will declare for the draft. I don't think he has another year.
All right, cool. No, I don't have a whole lot on this game.
Sure. Last thing, I'm just interested to see how Illinois bounces back, because this is a pretty deflating loss. So I'm very interested to see that. But we can move on to our next game. Shout out Indiana, I guess.
Yep, Texas Tech at Utah.
Yep. A matchup between the Big 12 favorites, as they were currently slated going into this game. Texas Tech goes to Utah, a tough place to play, and they easily get the job done. They win 34-10. Utah struggled offensively, had no answer for that Texas Tech defense. Texas Tech started kind of slow offensively, but ended up wearing on the Utah defense, and then they finally caved in, as well as Will Hammond comes in and replaces Morton and just deals. They looked like a different team when he came in, which is something we'll definitely discuss later. But thoughts on this game, guys?
Yeah, I think that one of the things we discussed was the Utah offensive line versus that Texas Tech D line. Texas Tech holds Utah to 3.3 yards per carry. I think that was kind of a big part of it. And how the offensive line with Devon Dampier running the ball, he had 11 carries for 27 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. So that wasn't great. I think that was my big thing, not getting to watch the whole game, was looking at the box scores after that was our big point, and how did that look? So that was impactful.
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech's D-line kind of owned that from the jump. Even their linebackers, too. But they just didn't give Utah anything easy at all. So it's a great point, and it was my key matchup, and it played a huge part in this game. JP, what are you going to say?
What you're saying about Will Hammond and Morton and there being a conversation kind of surprises me. I think that's a little bit too early for that, but I guess we can table that conversation for later.
Sure.
Defensively, Texas Tech was unreal. I'm curious how they'll look against a true gunslinger, which they're going to play at some point. I'm pretty sure they have Baylor still on the schedule.
Yeah.
But in the Big 12, they're going to play a lot of gunslingers. I'm sure they'll play TCU and Josh Hoover. But Dampier, with his clear inability to throw the ball down the field, their pass rush ate him alive. Utah's drives, 3 and out, a turnover on downs, where they failed a 4th and 1. They apparently ran the same play they've run multiple times this season, where they brought in an extra O-lineman and handed off on the same side. It's according to Joel Klatt. Fumble, 3 and out. 2 third-down conversions, then it results in a punt. Interception. Missed field goal, saved by roughing the kicker, field goal made. 3 and out, punt. Touchdown, 3 and out, interception. They could not get anything going offensively for a Utah offense that was actually really, really good through 3 weeks, which is why I had them as high as 10th in the country. Texas Tech defense is for real. The pass rush is for real. Their DBs play well. They play physical. They play with confidence. Bryce Pollock plays physical. He plays with confidence. But Jacob Rodriguez is truly dominant out there, and he has 11 total tackles in this game. I thought all the credit has to go to Texas Tech and their defense for how well they had played on the road.
100% agree.
And they weathered the storm. You lose your starting quarterback. Backup comes in, and then Will Hammond, actually, he played really, really well. He throws for 2 touchdowns. He brought a different element with rushing. They kind of put him in danger in a few spots, but that's kind of where his ability is, so it's not something you're not going to do. They just didn't really know who their other quarterback was, so it kind of it's hard to continue to run him as that game got later and later because they just don't know who you're putting in as a backup. But Hammond was really, really good. Their running game was excellent. They run for 173, but they throw for 300 yards against this Utah defense on the road in front of a sold-out crowd, and I thought that was it. It was just, again, another dominant performance, wire to wire. It felt like just like this Indiana and Illinois game. But this one was on the road, and that's why I ended up putting Texas Tech higher than Indiana.
Sure.
They were just impressive. Cameron Dickey was the best running back of the day. His carries were huge. He has 2 touchdowns in the game. Just a ton of credit to Texas Tech and the Red Raiders. They so far are living up to the NIL budget that they have.
Yes. Okay, going back to the conversation we said we're going to table.
I'm welcome to have it here.
We're going to have it because I'm confused. So
You think you should start Will Hammond?
I think they're going to start Morton.
Yes.
Even though Hammond looked like the better QB in that game, but it's a game, and there's been a lot of hype around Morton and what he can do, and so they're going to start Morton again, assuming he's healthy. I'm not positive what his status is, but I was still very impressed with what I saw with him, because like I said, he was a better QB in that game. But even myself, I think I have it in the notes, because I wrote it right after, Hammond has to be the starter, but it's just very reactionary, prisoner of the moment from one game when there's been a whole fall camp, summer camp, other games. So I wouldn't start Hammond going forward. I think it's going to be Morton. When I said conversation later, I just meant just talking about the QBs in general, not talking about Hammond starting over Morton.
Understood. I would start Morton, and I'd start him if he's healthy or if he's even slightly banged up. I would introduce Will Hammond packages with his ability to run. Kind of makes no sense for him to not be a part of the offense in that way. Think of Bo Prabula last year with Penn State coming in there for running packages, obvious running downs. But Morton is the better quarterback. He had 11 touchdowns, 1 interception coming into the game. That he kind of leads the drive to start the game where they end up getting the touchdown. He gets hurt, and it didn't help him, and he gets fully knocked out of the game. One of his interceptions is just a deflection off his own receiver's hands, not really his fault. But I think he's the best quarterback. And with Will Hammond in the game, it felt like, at least, watching them, that they kind of lost their explosive passing game down the field. And that's the best part of their offense, in my opinion, is their ability to throw the ball down the field.
Sure.
And while Hammond's numbers ends up being better and they actually look quite good on paper, I thought watching it that they were completely different offense. I didn't think they were as explosive as they had been in the weeks prior.
Yeah. Well, and once again, I said I think Utah's defense just kind of was wore down by that point.
Yeah.
They were kind of ready to give in when he took over and really started to cook late in the game. Tucker says he does think Morton will start, but if it starts to get hairy, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go to Hammond pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think they like to know that they have a guy that they can put in and have success with in a big game. That's got to be a good comfort to them. I just checked. Morton's not expected to miss any time. He was held out with concussion-like symptoms, but there seemed to be no real issue. And they have a bye. And then they have the big test the week after, October 4th. They play Houston.
Huge.
At Houston, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get a bigger matchup than that in the Big 12. But he should be good to go, and, yeah, he'll start. But big win for Texas Tech. I loved what I saw. You can't hate that.
It's their toughest game remaining, too. At least the way it looks right now, with the way Kansas State is kind of fallen off a cliff.
Yep.
And they have to go to Manhattan. They also go to Arizona State, so that's arguably a tough test, but I think the Utah test would be tougher in my opinion. They don't play Baylor, they don't play TCU, so everything's right there in front of them. Them making the Big 12 title game is it feels like it would be a failure.
100% agree.
Honestly, if they didn't at this point in the season.
Because you cleared your biggest test, and you didn't you aced your biggest test.
Mm-hmm.
You won by 24 on the road at Utah and fought through adversity of early turnovers and having to play your backup QB.
Yes.
You can't be there's not really a result you can be happier with if you're a Texas Tech fan than what happened on Saturday.
Turnover fest, too.
It led to a very glorious and hectic start to the game because every time you looked, it was a peanut punch or a pick because there was a forced pass or something like that. And then it settled in. So we kind of got the best of both worlds in terms of the chaos of college football
Yes.
and then actually good football down the stretch. So really can't be mad. Anything else?
No. Shout out CT.
Shout out CT. Red Raiders. I don't like them being good because of A&M, but it is cool to see the NIL thing like work and see someone just be like, screw it, we're going to pay and it's going to work out.
Buy a team.
It's
By a
a
team.
cautionary tale. It doesn't feel like we've seen a lot of right there in the middle. Now I'm sure there are, but like with teams that have spent so much money, we've seen Florida State last year, all of their transfer portal guys they spent big money on, worst season ever, and now this year we're seeing it with Texas Tech.
It's a boom or bust strategy for
Yeah.
sure,
Absolutely.
which is why I didn't have Texas Tech ranked until this week, but they proved me very much wrong there. Let's get on to our last game we previewed, though.
This soccer game is making me nervous.
The closest game of the bunch, and that is Auburn at Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold's return game doesn't go the way he hoped it would. They lose 24-17. He gets sacked 10 times, was under constant pressure, and didn't handle it very well at all, in my opinion. But thoughts on this game, guys?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to get to my notes from it.
Sure.
The sacks, I think, were it. Other than the sacks, Auburn had the advantage in a lot of ways. I believe they had less penalty yardage assigned. They did have more penalties, but less penalty yardage assigned to them. They won the turnover battle. The D line was dominant. They didn't allow Oklahoma. Oklahoma had 0 carries of 10 or more yards. They averaged 1.2 yards per carry. Cam Coleman had a great night, 3 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown, had nearly 30 yards of reception.
Dominated time of possession.
Yeah, dominated time of possession was like 35, 25, somewhere around.
35 to 24.
Yeah, so it was really other than, like, I mean, Auburn not should have won. And I didn't get to watch it, so I didn't see all the bad calls, and y'all can speak to that. But I
We
heard
will later for sure.
I heard that people are saying that Auburn was robbed. But, I mean, it's impressive that Auburn was able to stop John Mateer's run game because that was kind of a big concern coming into this game is how that would look. And they were able to slow that down. But, yeah, I think that Auburn performed well. I mean, a road game at Oklahoma. You kept it close, lose by 7. But it's unfortunate that you had so much success in so many facets of the game and weren't able to get a win.
Yeah, that's fair. JP?
Yeah. So Arnold was indecisive, very indecisive. I think he should have thrown it up a little bit more here and there. I thought the credit goes to Oklahoma. I thought Oklahoma won this game. I don't think Auburn was robbed. They had their chance, like the Cam Coleman one that was big on
Sure.
Twitter. That PI didn't matter. It did not matter whatsoever. It's a 15-yard penalty. Arnold, the play after it, when it's not called, is on 4th and 11, runs for 17 yards. You gain 2 more yards than you would have gotten. And they go and score a touchdown anyway on that drive. So that play had no influence on the game.
Sure.
The start with the fumble recovery at full speed, I thought it was an incompletion. At slow-mo, he never had control of the ball. I thought it was an incompletion. The only one I think they do have a say in is the final one, and I'm not sure if we know what a catch is anymore, again, in football, because in my eyes, in no world is that a catch for Satanga on the sideline.
Yeah,
In no world.
I agree with that one. I wouldn't have called it a catch. I was pretty surprised they did. Because also it doesn't seem like that's something they've been calling a catch all year. They've been pretty stingy with calling catches at this point. Like, you better have firm control the whole time. You better hold on to it. And I'm pretty stunned with that one. And then also the whole giving up the touchdown on the fake substitution
Yes,
thing.
that they did cheat on that. I don't disagree with that.
That one hurts a little bit. But I didn't. I guess you just never really see that. Like, I wasn't really aware that was a rule in the sense
I didn't
of, like,
think. I thought the rule about that was
you couldn't come completely off
you
the field.
can't leave the field, and if you enter, you have to come up above the numbers before you got past them. So I didn't know they broke a rule. But I mean, because Johnny Manziel did that. That was 10 years ago. But, like, that was in the NFL, I guess, technically.
Yes.
But I don't know what the college rule is about like having guys come partially onto the field or not technically ever leave the field.
You can't with the way the SEC worded is essentially you're not allowed to like fake a substitution for the most part. And upon video review, they felt that Satanga was looking like he was coming off the field for a substitution and not going out there to line up for a route.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, it should have been officiated differently. And I agree. Like, that's deception.
Sure.
It's deceiving. It's no different than hiking the ball, saying, oh no, ref, I think we have the wrong ball, then running for
that's
a
like
touchdown.
A high school play.
That's deceiving. I think that's BS. I think it's also no different than like faking an injury, kind of, to like if you were in a one-on-one on the outside and like the wide receiver like pulls up, it's like, oh, I hurt my hammy, and then blows by him like that. That's bad sportsmanship.
Went straight up.
It's deceiving.
Yeah.
And so I completely agree that should have been officiated differently. Now, we never really got a good view on
what he did,
what it actually
100%.
looked like, and I'll be curious to see when that is finally posted by someone, by the media members that have access to the All-22. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. But that was BS.
Also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in the defense, not in the defense of Oklahoma, but in Auburn being like, we get robbed, it's also like, maybe don't screw up the punt right beforehand. That gives them the good field position.
Absolutely.
Then they run that play. I just like Auburn executed pretty poorly in key moments.
Yes, the penalties were terrible. Special team was a failure. So this was the sequence on it. They field a punt at the 3-yard line.
Toes on the goal line
for no reason.
Yeah.
They hit Cam Coleman deep on a go route. They're at the 50-yard line. 2 holding penalties, if I'm not mistaken. It pulls them all the way back. Bad snap on the punt. He could have still punted the ball even if it was his left foot. Didn't even try to make an attempt at it. Tries to run for it. They don't convert, and it's a turnover. Of course, they leave Satanga open on the sideline, touchdown. And they also have a missed field goal in the game. Like, Auburn did not execute. Oklahoma did. That's the story of the game. But the cheating one is tough. And then I also think it was not a catch for Satanga. For me, in that rule, he doesn't complete the process of a catch by surviving the ground. Like,
does he ever go to the ground though?
Yes, like he goes to the ground. He's catching it on the sideline I think he got to his 3rd step, and he's falling out of bounds. And for me, it's all in full speed.
Yeah.
So I don't care about the steps there because it's all in like one motion. He's not trying to make a football move up the field to gain more yardage, and then he fumbles it out of bounds, which is what they ended up ruling. It's all in one motion. He doesn't survive the catch. Like I didn't think it was a catch.
Real quick, Tucker makes the point that saying deception is bad sportsmanship is a slippery slope when play action to the thing. I was also going to push back on that a little bit because you've got plays where, have you seen the plays where they'll fake incomplete passes? Like, so basically they throw a lateral that's nearly forward, and then the wide receiver is just like, oh crap, and then he picks it up and like runs it. Or fake fumbles, right, where like a quarterback will pretend that he drops it. Like, there is a slippery slope of like you can't fake things. Because like that's what trick plays are, is faking things, right? Fake punts. Oh, we thought you were gonna punt it. You deceived us. Like,
yeah,
that is a slippery slope of being like, don't be deceptive when that's part of football.
2 things on that. Talking about the subbing someone out, that's like that's against the rules. If that's really what they did. It's like that one, like you're basically trying to cheat the rules and hope you get away with it, and they got away with it. So really, the refs also just should have done their job. But once again, I actually don't know what he did. And the fake injury thing is just
the fake injury thing I'm not defending. I'm talking
you're like,
about more other like
sure, because like with the fake injury
football
thing,
play deceptive.
You're preying on the other person, the other
Yes.
team, or the cornerback, for example, if it's a wide receiver, like being a good person and not being like, oh, this guy's hurt, let me just like rock him.
Yeah,
So
that is not what I'm defending.
I have the problem with it because it's something that, like Andrew is saying, like Jack is saying, but more so it's the officials can impact what is kind of happening. Substitutions, they impact every single time. Every single time there's a substitution, the white hat full arms extended to notify the other team that they can substitute. The faking an injury thing, like if a player's injured, the referee can stop everything that's going on. Now with the new ruling, like you can be assessed a timeout if the ball is spotted. And then what was my other one was the fake ball. Like that is one where they're literally taking the ball and trying to go to the official and saying, "Oh, this is not the ball." Like that is something the official is a part of. Play action, the official is not a part of because the play is not over. The fake incomplete pass, there's some middle ground there, but I'd argue that if the official has not signified that there was an incomplete pass and the ball's still live, the whistle is not blown. In that case, like they wouldn't blow their whistle if it's clearly not an incomplete pass, if it's clearly a lateral, and they're usually very good at determining whether or not it was a lateral or whether it wasn't.
Well, that comes real quick to an awareness
And
on
more-
defense thing. Right?
I think more often than not, they are giving benefit of the doubt, and they'll come back and reverse it. So they're never going to blow their whistle.
Yeah.
If it's close.
Tucker that's exactly the point I'm making. Tucker is like defensive awareness. If you only see 10 guys, you should find the 11th guy. If there's an 11th guy standing in the field of play, like I said, I don't know the rules. I've seen people complain about that. I haven't read the rule book, and I've heard people say that it was against the rules. I don't know what the wording of the rules is. If the rule is you can't fake substitutions, then yes, they broke a rule. I don't know how I feel about that because I've seen it used. Like if the NFL did, I think I like that play personally. I loved it as a kid because it is if the defense isn't paying attention and they see 5 O-linemen and a running back, a quarterback, and 2 wide receivers, someone's missing. You're supposed to find that, or I guess 3 wide receivers.
Sometimes
10
people
players.
don't get 11 players on the field.
Well, I mean, you should still, but if you don't see, you should still be looking.
That's the last thing I want to say on this, and then I want us to move on
That's
because
fair.
we've talked about the ref stuff for long enough. But we haven't seen it, so I have no idea what the receiver did on the outside.
I mean,
There's 100%
have
a
you seen
world.
this angle?
Mm-mm.
Okay. He's here, JP. We'll do this real scuffed like. Yeah, it's Barstool posted it. So go to Barstool Twitter. This is him right here. He's walking to the sideline. He doesn't leave the field of play. I don't know why. Like if the referee is he's standing right next to the referee. He turns and lines up, I guess, because he's got to be careful about where he aligns, right? Because he can't be in the backfield or covering a guy up. So he's got to be careful about where he lines up. I assume he's not just standing there and then touchdown.
But yeah, I don't know.
We can't see exactly
we can't
what
see.
he does.
Okay.
The all 22. Well, Andrew, if you want to send that to us, I would love to see it.
That is the view we were saying, I think.
That
That was the
maybe that is the all
22 view.
22.
Sure.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And if he's not popping up on the all 22 view, then I think that's also maybe a problem too.
Yeah, the
That
all
is fair.
22 camera faked out as well. But it's not great. But I do agree. Like Auburn, you are correct. Like Auburn could have been more aware and could have covered it and not had to have the refs kind of save them in that moment. But also the refs should have saved them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jackson Arnold, I was pretty disappointed with the game he played.
Mm-hmm.
The O-line I actually thought was solid. They got beat a couple on some of the sacks, but a lot of them, his average time to throw was over 3 seconds, and he has to know that they're blitzing.
Yeah.
And that's a very talented defensive front, and he just played indecisive.
Was that a secondary thing, or was that like were wide receiver covered, or was that just poor decision making?
I think it was twofold.
Yeah.
S-
Go ahead.
Sitting there too long.
Yeah.
And then also like not diving up enough quick hitters.
Yeah.
For
Sure.
Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton being such speed threats on top of, for Cam, he's a great physical threat as well, that they weren't hit enough in space. There's, if they're blitzing as much as they are, that means it's more often than not you have one-on-one coverage, and pretty much you're guaranteed with if you have both of them on the field that one of them is in one-on-one coverage. So dial up more man-on-man beaters, one-on-one beaters, and allow that to happen, and not ones that take time to develop down the field. So I think that's part of it. But I also think it more so is just he was sitting there in the pocket for so long. The clock was clearly never ticking in his head. That is something they talk about with quarterbacks. It's something I I'm not to compare myself to a collegiate quarterback or an NFL quarterback, but as a semi-professional Madden player, you have that feeling too as a quarterback sitting there in the pocket, because when you're playing against the hardest difficulty, you're playing against another team and another person, you're going to get sacked if you sit there for 3 seconds more often than not. Even with an excellent offensive line, even with 99s across the board, if you're playing Ultimate Team, you're going to get sacked.
Sure.
You have to know when you need to scramble as well. And if I can understand that, then Jackson Arnold better be able to understand that. And I don't think he did the entire game, and I clearly not. And then also, when he did try to run and scramble in those scenarios, Oklahoma did a great job of contain and getting to Arnold. And for him to only have, I think it was 7 rushing yards in the entire game.
That takes into account
negative 11,
sacks.
not even worse. I don't know about with sacks. He probably had 20 rushing yards.
I think I had it in my
give or take.
Yeah, you can go look. There's also a thing of
11 carries, 33 yards.
I don't
Because
think
if you take out the sack yardage,
Yeah.
he had
I don't think the clock is there. I also don't like the way he does move in the pocket as it's breaking down. Like, even if he realizes he's breaking down, I know Oklahoma did a really good job in contain. I still don't really think he picked his rushing lanes well or, like, saw the avenues out well at all. He didn't extend plays like I hoped he would, or I would hope a runner of his caliber would. I get the defense was great, and OU had a great game plan. But if he was this 5-star and we think he can still live up to that, I didn't see that at all, because a 5-star is going to at least turn a couple of those plays into gold. Think about the touchdown Justin Herbert threw today, right? Like, that kind of play is
incredible.
What you think the ceiling is for Jackson Arnold, and that's just not there in my opinion at all because of the processing stuff.
Yeah, not at all. And it sucks for Auburn, too, because they use an excellent performance out of their defense. They really kind of held Mateer in check. They held the rushing game in check. Cam Coleman was ridiculous. Even when they didn't call a PI, he only has 3 catches in the game, but the 3 catches are super impactful. One of them, like I said, they had 2 penalties right after it. Then they have the terrible punt. Has a touchdown in the game. He had at least 3 PIs, if I'm not mistaken. He might have had 4.
The double move as well he made that Arnold missed him on was fantastic.
Arnold missed him a couple times down the field. Eric Singleton was really good, too, their leading pass catcher. And so for their defense, especially the defensive line, to play that well in the running game and against Mateer and his scrambling, and then the receivers to play this well, that was kind of the question. Will this be different than the Michigan game because Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton are on the field and not the Michigan receivers who are a bunch of nobodies, essentially? The answer was no, because Jackson Arnold just wasn't up to the test. And that kind of sucks for Auburn because this was a big game. Would have been a huge win. It really springboards them going forward. You go into next week and you get to play at A&M, and for me, I would argue you get to play with house money.
Sure.
There's no pressure on that game whatsoever. I think you're losing that game and feeling fine. But now you're in a spot where you could potentially lose at A&M, and then Georgia comes to town. You're 3-3 all of a sudden. And a 3-0 start means nothing, and now Hugh Freeze is right back on the hot seat. So it just sucks. Sure. If you're an Auburn fan, it has to suck for the Tigers to waste that kind of performance. On the Oklahoma side, another gritty win, an SEC win at home is a good win, and they won this game. Their defense took over, of course, sacking Arnold as much as they did. I thought Mateer again showed another great game. Well, his stats weren't there. He just makes throws, like I said, with Mendoza that are just not throws that every quarterback is making out there on Saturday. And he puts his receivers in fine spots. He's not afraid to throw the hospital ball, but it's a hospital ball that is being completed every single time. Not one of those ones that you're throwing it and the receiver just gets blown up and dies. It's a hospital ball, but those are catches that the receivers are signing up for. They were signing up for those kinds of hits, and he is making those throws. His arm angles, like the difference between him and Dylan Raiola is his arm angles, I think are actually a huge positive, and he uses them in the right spots. Dylan just uses them on a 2-yard check down, and it just looks weird.
He does it for vibes.
Yeah, it just
Mateer
looks,
does it for
it
practicality.
looks stupid at times. If you're throwing a 2-yard check down with a sidearm, like just dude, throw it normal, please. So I thought Mateer was again impressive, and now they have a bye and then the Red River Shootout, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pulling it up.
I believe
They've
so.
got
No, they play Kent State, so yes, a bye.
Yeah.
No, they
And
have a bye.
Kent
Kent
State,
State, Red River
Texas.
Shootout. So they essentially have 2 byes before the Texas game.
And then they close out the season with 5 straight ranked SEC opponents.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch, and that'll lead me into Andrew McBride asked what he thinks the ceiling is for OU this season. Ceiling is 10-2 for me. I don't expect them to get there, but that's their ceiling. I'm still just worried about the lack of a rushing attack, especially on the inside. I think at some point that'll come back to bite them, and Mateer won't be able to carry them through a game with his passing because it wasn't good in this game again at all. So the O-line concerns are still somewhat there for me. But they've already won their first 2 biggest games. They're 2-0 through their first 2 big tests. So they could hit 10-2. I don't see that happening, but I'll call that their ceiling. I don't know if y'all agree or disagree.
I disagree. I think they could go undefeated.
You think they go undefeated?
I think with the way they played defensively, they could go undefeated. I think we could still. I would actually. I'm confident that they are holding some plays. Like I don't think they've shown their entire hand yet against Michigan and Auburn, knowing
Bold
that
of
they
them.
have to play Texas and that they have to play Bama. So I don't think they've shown everything yet. And their rushing attack is still like, if they were to play Jay Knott, maybe it might get better finally. I don't know. I still don't know what's going on there. It frustrates me because I drafted Jay Knott
Sure.
Yeah.
in the first round of our draft this year. But I think they could go undefeated. I think Mateer's good enough as a quarterback that he can win on the road. They have the weapons. I think Deion Burks and Kanik, the tight end, I think are good enough. Mateer being able to run, like if their offensive line were to break down against pass rush, I think he would be good enough to scramble and make those kind of big plays. And then if Venables just has consistent defensive performance like he's had, now I will say against offenses that are limited, then the ceiling is 12-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll go undefeated the entire season, but
I maybe would go 11-1 with the ceiling. I don't see an undefeated season.
I think an undefeated season could happen. I don't see it happening. If that so, like the
Yeah,
ceiling
same.
is definitely 12-0.
Well, then Mississippi State ceiling's 12-0.
No,
no,
that is not.
Y'all
that is,
are
that is not the
4-0
same
right now,
thing.
and
no,
it could
it's
happen.
8-4.
It could happen.
What are you
So
ta- it's 9. It's 10-2.
No, it's
I'm kidding.
8-4.
I'm kidding. I also could like
I mean, do you disagree that like the defense
they
and
can't.
with
You're saying they
Mateer
can't go
couldn't
12-0.
go?
I do not
12-0?
see 12-0 happening here
Okay.
at all. I don't think the rushing attack is good enough. The defense has looked fantastic, but they
I'm just-
played a
okay.
very limited offense in Michigan, and then Jackson Arnold led Auburn team. Like
If Arch Manning, if Arch Manning faces a good defense again and struggles and scores 10,
They'll play. He
14,
plays at Florida
20
this
points.
weekend,
If he
or
scores
it might be in 2 weekends.
like there's a very good chance Oklahoma could go in and win that game 21-14, 21-17. South Carolina, you're low in South Carolina.
yeah,
There's
I'm
an easy
discounting
win
that
there.
game. Take
Ole
that.
Miss, there's a route to them beating Ole Miss at Tennessee. They could go in there. I mean, I that's a great matchup of 2 like really good defenses from not like historical defensive schools, and then 2 good offenses led by transfer quarterbacks. I think there's a route they win that game, right? There's a path for them to win that game. At Alabama, Alabama has struggled against rushing quarterbacks. John Mateer could go in there and rush for 225, and then you play Missouri. I think at home there's a chance you win that game, and then LSU at home. Like there's a chance you win that game 14-10 because they can't score. So like there's definitely
That's disrespectful to Missouri,
there-
but
I said LSU. I
oh,
meant
sorry,
LSU.
sorry,
LSU.
my bad.
So there's a path to them going 12-0. I don't see it happening. I think that there's a chance that this team, we've talked about this, if they lose a couple games, could be a 9-3 playoff team. If they lose to Texas
Sure.
somehow, and then
yeah, they
lose to
probably would.
Alabama, and then lose to Tennessee, you still beat Ole Miss, you still beat LSU, who right now is number 4. You beat Missouri, you beat South Carolina on the road. You've got to win against Auburn, against Michigan. Like, I'm not going to say I don't see this team losing more than 3 games, and so would it be bold to be like the floor for this team at the playoffs at this point?
No, I'm disagreeing with that take.
You think that is bold?
I think that is bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I just
So you think that
I
There's
think they could go 8-4, 7-5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying
It's
the
a
floor
it's a
is
very
7
tough.
and 5.
It's an insane
Yes.
back.
So you're saying the range is 7-5 to 12 and
Yes.
0.
it's an insane back into the
Because
schedule.
I really think we haven't seen it. We haven't seen enough weeks of the SEC yet, but I think it's going to be carnage, and I think really teams could eat each other alive.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why 12 and
so-
0 is not the ceiling.
We scored.
Yeah, y'all did score.
Heck yeah, heck yeah.
Allie Perry,
So
I'm
I-
assuming, based off Tucker's reaction.
I think
Heck yeah, Tucker.
it is. I think 7-5 is on the board with who they play as well. So
okay.
I think it's 7-5 to 12-0. I just think it's too
What-
wide open right now. We don't know enough.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you real quick, and then we can get to the stock market.
Sure.
Texas A&M, ceiling.
I think
I'm going to pull their schedule.
you know off the top of your head. Hardest games left.
We go to Texas.
Texas.
To Texas.
To Death Valley. We go to LSU.
Okay.
To Missouri.
11-1.
Okay, 11-1. Georgia ceiling.
I think Georgia ceiling is 12
12
and
and
0.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LSU ceiling.
LSU ceiling, I don't think is 12-0 because they still have to go to Alabama.
Okay. I was trying to see how many people you would
And
give the
they have to
ceiling
go to Ole Miss.
I
of
mean,
12 and 0
I think
because they're undefeated.
Oklahoma, I think their ceiling is 12-0 because I think we've seen dominance on both sides of the ball, and I think we've seen dominance specifically defensively. That I think they could be a 12-0 team. I think they could win games in multiple different ways because offensively, I think they could win a shootout, and defensively, they've clearly shown twice already in their ranked matchups at home on ABC that they can win kind of those grindy out games. So I think 12-0 is on the board for them.
Okay.
I don't expect it. I
Sure.
expect 10-2. I expect 9-3.
We'll clip that, post it. OU fans will get really happy.
Yeah.
That's how you farm engagement right there.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on to the stock market?
No.
No.
That kind of got off the rails a little bit, so I don't remember. I hope I said everything I wanted to say and didn't miss anything crucial.
I may not have said everything you wanted to, but we said enough. Yeah, Tucker, that's a big tie for us. Unfortunately, we didn't get the dub, but the fact that we were losing 1-0 with I don't know when the last goal was, but I assume it was 5 minutes left. So that's a big goal to tie. In soccer, ties are not the end of the world like they are.
Sure.
They feel like in other sports.
All right, I got some stock market.
Do we have other weekly takeaways? Any other games y'all want to highlight who won or anything?
I thought the Michigan win was a statement.
Sorry, Jay.
Personally,
No, you're good. I didn't realize this was a new segment. So
I also this is supposed to say week 4. Apologies.
wow.
Man, that
strike for the graphics
Yeah.
guy. Sorry.
How
Go
is
ahead,
that guy
JP.
not fired yet?
Dude, I don't know. He must know somebody in the company. He's
Miami,
Nepo
I thought,
baby.
as I said earlier, was impressive, and that is all of the takeaways I have. I mean, Missouri got a big win, but
I thought
Was it
Lenore
big?
Sellers had his best game of the season. He
Yes,
made some
I
big
agree.
time throws in that game. I know they lost, but
can't wait for him
I like
to be in
that.
black and gold.
so let's. You can't wait from.
Oh,
good luck.
no, we do need to say though that Clemson lost to Syracuse.
We should have a funeral real quick.
Yeah, that was
So the Clemson season is over. I will go ahead and say it's an overreaction to fire Dabo.
He's
but if
trying his
he-
hardest to get fired, though. He's pushing. He's
I think he's kind of daring them to fire him, knowing they
That's
won't.
how
That's
it
what
feels.
that's what he said. He literally
Yeah.
said that this week.
Yeah, but I don't think that's him trying to get fired. I think he's kind of
He
saying-
literally said, quoted, this is paraphrasing, but go ahead and fire me. I'm 55. I got a lot of years to go. I'll go and do this somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
it's kind of a threat.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
he's daring.
But
he is daring them to
But
fire him.
I think it's more of a. I think that's him. I don't think he's daring them to fire him, but I think he's doing it saying that you won't fire me because I'm going to go somewhere else and come back and beat you.
That's
I think it's a threat, so they won't fire him, which I don't think is the same as trying to get fired.
no. I think he's daring. I don't think it's a.
He's not
I don't
trying
think
to.
it's a threat.
He didn't try to lose to Syracuse this weekend.
I didn't. Yeah, I'm not saying he is.
But you said he's trying to get fired.
I don't. I think he's daring them because he's just pissed off at everyone basically.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a threat of I'll go come back and beat you, and so he's threatening them so they don't fire him because I think he knows they won't fire him, and that's why he's just talking all this crap
Yeah.
because he's not that scared about it.
Yeah.
But he's pissed off, so he's trying to get people to stop asking bad questions or whatever.
And
Yeah.
like Tucker and Andrew saying, his bio is insane, but also like there's no reason to fire him.
Yeah.
Personally,
Disastrous place to be though in week 4.
it
Yeah.
is a tough place to be. I completely understand that, especially with preseason expectations. My biggest takeaway, and I already said it this weekend, is just like you just need to booster and AD force this guy to use the transfer portal in a big way, like, and spend money in the transfer portal and not be afraid to do that because they're going to be in a tough spot next year. Cade's not returning, so quarterback is going to be a question. And then they just don't have.
Could
They
go
should.
get JKS out of the portal. Maybe.
He won't.
They won't.
He'll
It
prefer
doesn't feel like.
Vizani or whatever the backup's name is.
Chris Vizani.
I'm stunned I got that name right, by the way. That was a
Shout out you.
shot at the dartboard. on
It is. I don't
pronunciation.
know if that's how you pronounce his last name, but
But
that
it's
is
spelled
his-
roughly
that's,
that way? Okay,
roughly how
cool.
it is spelled.
I'll take that.
I am not sure if he will, and I'm not sure if they will, but we'll see. That's what they have to do. But there's no reason to fire him.
Sure.
That's an overreaction.
I agree.
Personally, but I completely understand being upset with the way things have gone.
You'd be a little crazy not to be upset. Like, I'd be like, are you really a fan if you're not at least a little upset?
That being said, Syracuse plus 17 cashes, so our best bet's looking good. And if a bomb blew up in New York right now, we would also cover that spread as well. So 2-0 so far this
Tucker
week.
pointed out Sam Pittman is cooked. That's a takeaway. Was he your prediction to be first fire this year?
No, I burnt Pry, and I was wrong by a couple hours.
Yeah.
Because
I think-
UCLA's head coach got fired on the same day. I'm
I think
counting it
given
as
your
a win.
your unlucky spread picks, we'll give you a freebie. We'll give you a courtesy point
Or
there.
also, like, we don't. It's when the news broke. We don't really know who was
That's true,
actually
that's true.
fully fired
Remember
first.
who I predicted.
We're not gonna. Yeah, I couldn't find it. See if you can find it for me.
Yeah, I'll
JP.
go look.
Appreciate it. I had Hugh Freeze, I think, because I was expecting a down Auburn year. He is not first. He's certainly not out of the woods yet. There is still a chance they go 6-6, 7-5. Who knows? Tucker pointed out the thing with Clemson, and we're not going to continue talking about Clemson. I just want to read Tucker's chat because I like people talking and engaging. Talent is not Clemson's issue. Transfer portal will bring in more talent, but they were already more talented than Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Great point by Tucker. We're not going to elaborate on that unless you have something you're dying to say because we already talked about that a good bit.
Get a new OC is what
Yeah.
I would potentially think about.
That's a great point.
But also just sometimes you have bunches of talent and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And you just kind of the chemistry's not there, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's all on the head coach, especially if he's done it previously. But let's get into the stock market.
Oh, I was going to try and find more weekly take. We didn't talk about Michigan, Nebraska.
JP did. He touched
Oh,
on it.
apologies. Missouri beat South Carolina. You think Sellers had his best game?
Yeah.
Cool.
So Sanders had Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
And I had Sam Pittman.
Okay. Well, I mean, I
You
feel like
also- you did have Brent Pry.
you get a point for being right, and then you get a half point if they get fired anyway.
Will not be giving you a half point, but there's no point system there, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Now I think I'm out of any other weekly takeaways. We can do the technical
I'll go ahead
foul.
and take a point for most improved team,
Who was that?
Oklahoma.
Shout out you.
Who did I have?
Southern Miss, which that's also trending as well. Cause
They did lose. They're 2-2 now.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's not trending. You had Washington.
We're undefeated currently.
Yes, this is true.
And
what
that
did y'all go like 7-5 last year? 6-6, 7-6 maybe. in the bowl
7 and
game?
6, I think.
Okay.
Because we did make the bowl game and we won, but
Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to go back and take a look at. Yeah, didn't we all? Yeah, that sheet. I'm scared to look at our final predictions. I know we all picked Clemson, which is tough.
Who would
we made the right pick. It didn't work out. We made the right
Yeah,
pick.
I don't know. Florida State felt really good.
I was the
about
lowest on
5
Clemson
weeks ago.
anyway, so I take
Sure.
full credit
Yeah, he knew.
because you guys both had them as the number 1 overall seed in the playoff.
Yikes! All right, let's
Disaster.
let's do the technical foul stock market. If you do not follow us on Twitter, go follow us on Twitter. Every week we tweet out like Sunday morning, Saturday night. We want y'all to like give us things to buy and sell, and Jack will read them out, and then we will all buy and sell those things. It's really fun. Y'all should also drop your buying and selling in the chat as we run through them. Jack, take it away.
All right. Speaking of Washington, Washington has the best wide receiver, running back, QB combo in the country. Buy or sell? And this is purely from a college standpoint, not a
potential.
elite prospects, yada yada yada. It's a bit of a thinker because you have to start immediately being like, okay, what other teams would compete? But I'll just it's Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, and then how am I forgetting the receiver's name? Because he had a great game.
Clearly
Denzel
not that
Boston.
good.
It's Denzel Boston.
The arguments are Julian Sayin, Peoples, I guess would be the lead back at Ohio State,
I think it's gonna be Bo Jackson, the freshman.
and Jeremiah Smith. Penn State with Nick Singleton, and Ruben. Why did I say Ruben Bain?
Jeremiah Smith?
No, Penn State.
Oh, Penn State. I was reading Tucker's chat.
Clearly not that good. Clearly,
It's gonna be Singleton, Aller, and then
Le'Veon Moss, Marcel Reed, and Casey Concepcion or Mario Craver. Take your pick.
yeah.
Sure, bye. I think it's hard to.
I'm also gonna buy.
If there wasn't one already at the top of my head,
Sure.
Then I think that's completely fair for that to be the case. Yeah.
They kind of are that team in a lot of ways. Watching them, and they're just playing so well right now that I'm also gonna buy, and they're also my boys.
Yeah.
So
I'm also gonna buy. Also, I think that should be like the subtitle of this: America's favorite sports Wall Street combo game on a podcast. I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna start using that in our thumbnails
Sure.
and stuff. That's fire, Tucker.
all right. Sam Pittman makes it to the end of the season as Arkansas's head coach.
No.
Buy or sell?
So, I'm selling that. I mean, you have to. You picked him to be the first coach
Well,
fired.
it's too late now, so I don't have to be right on that. I am gonna sell. I think the way Taylor Green is playing, I think it'll be too much for them to go 4-8 and not fire him. Like Taylor Green is just too special of a talent to waste a season
Sure.
with him at quarterback. So I'm gonna say Sam Pittman gets fired this year after the Dogs go to Razorback Stadium and win.
That would be that's kind of the one you can't lose if you're Sam Pittman. I'll also sell. I think he'll get fired. I don't think he's like a week or 2 weeks away from getting fired. I don't think he makes it into the season though, so I'm gonna sell.
I said I would sell. Tucker, I would say that given that Faison didn't even start for like the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's hard to make the argument there.
Sellers better than Damon Williams. I would argue Denzel Boston's better than Harbor at this point, even if Harbor is maybe the more toolsy guy. So
McBride said he's going to buy that Pittman will last because Arkansas is going to keep him and then let him retire. I mean, there is, I don't know, maybe there's some validity to if you have an understanding that you're not going to fire him and have to pay his buyout and he's going to retire,
That'd
it's
be a
worth
win.
it. It's kind of a win-win for both because
Sure.
then he kind of gets to ride off into the sunset and not, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's ready to be done with college football and he's,
The sunset.
I don't know if I'd call it riding off into the sunset, but like, I don't know, getting fired is just not a fun thing to happen. In the I don't know how college football coaches feel about it. Maybe because it happens more often.
Coach O loved it personally.
Michael Jordan was cut from his JV basketball team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
All right, we all sold that one.
We did.
Next one, Indiana beats at least one of Penn State or Oregon.
This
Buy
is
or
a
sell?
good one. This is a good one.
it's from me.
Wait, you skipped one. I'm gonna have to. Ooh.
Well, I don't
Um,
always go in order.
Oh,
so
my bad. I just got to be more careful than where I put in our.
my apologies. I kind of forget you're now putting them in, so I will actually go in order now.
Appreciate
it's
it.
it's
But-
from me. So I am going to buy.
You're contractually obligated to buy almost.
Yes, this was mine. I think Indiana showed at least offensively that they could keep up. And with what was something coming into the weekend we kind of thought we knew. Illinois is really good defensively. We think that they were without one of their corners, but even if he was playing, I don't think that would have mattered. 2, Illinois is a team that likes to run the ball, can run the ball effectively. And 3, Altmaier is a quarterback that, if given time, he can take you apart and he can make the throws when he needs to. None of those three things happened in any degree whatsoever. And Indiana kind of flipped that way of thinking, and now we wonder, do we actually think we know that? I don't think they would do that to Penn State or Oregon, obviously.
Sure.
But I think they're good enough offensively to keep up against one of those defenses. And with the way they played defensively, it's kind of just a shame. Both of those games are at Oregon and at Penn State. And ultimately, they should be favored to lose both of those games. Even in a parlay form, I think they'd be favored to lose both of those games. But I'm going to buy. I think they have a way better shot than, obviously, they had prior to this weekend.
I agree they have a much better shot than I thought. I'm still going to sell. Both are on the road, and I just don't like that aspect of it a lot.
I agree.
I think they can compete and make it tough on some of these teams, but I don't see it happening personally, so I'm going to sell.
I think the only sad thing is with how bad they – or how bad they dominated Illinois, that there just won't be good enough juice on both of those games to bet Indiana money line, which that kind of hurts me right now.
I don't know. You never know, because we've seen what was the game we talked about?
USF Miami.
Yes, USF Miami, where USF wins that game, and then it made zero impact on. I don't know if it affected money line. It didn't move the spread. We could see a world where Vegas says.
I'm curious what the JP poll will say.
Yeah,
on
that's
Thursday. Because that is kind of the best look we have at least.
JP poll is
that.
Tuesday. Commissioner's
Tuesday,
poll is
that's right. You're right.
Commissioner's poll is Thursday.
They also shouldn't have beat Illinois by as much because now everyone just thinks Illinois is this trash can team.
Yeah.
That actually isn't that good.
Huge miss for Giants plus 6.5 bettors.
Wow, Harrison Butker. That's
Missed
crazy.
right yet again.
I am going to also sell the road aspect. Hold on. Apologies. The road aspect in both those stadiums is a huge deal. If one of those games was at home, that would be
could be a big noon kickoff for both.
Yeah. If one of those
9
games
kick
was at
for
home,
Oregon.
that would be a huge. Oh my gosh, that'd be a huge fun upset pick. But given that they're both on the road, those are both going to be sellout crowd because those teams are really good. And Indiana's right now, I don't know, they're ranked 11th right now, so they'll be top 15, top 20 going into both those games in all likelihood, barring they lose the upset in between.
Sure.
So I'm gonna sell as well.
Sure. Our next one is out of spite. For
spite or sadness?
It was sent to us out of spite/sadness by our Clemson fans. Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore transfer next season. Buy or sell?
Sell.
Yeah.
They're not transferring.
I'm also gonna sell. For Dabo being anti-transfer portal, I do somehow think his guys are also you're brainwashed into the Dabo methodology, the way of doing things when you go there.
He goes and gets his guys, and his guys, he their visits, and I'm sure in the recruiting, they talk about commitment and stuff like that, and I don't know, being committed to the team, and I have
being committed to God's NIL.
True. Exactly.
Clemson
as much
guys
as Dabo,
just don't leave.
As much as Dabo doesn't go get guys, he also doesn't lose guys.
The only ones that leave are people that just absolutely aren't playing, and even that isn't insane numbers.
Yeah, there've only been a few. The only ones that really come to mind are Andrew McCuba, transferred to Texas, played there for 2 years now, is one of the Eagles safeties. But that's the only one that comes off. I mean, DJ transferred, but that was a rare case.
He wasn't.
He was
start.
poo-poo. So
yeah, that was a very rare case. Also, the guy who went, Chase Bryce, transferred, but he wasn't going to be the starter. So that kind of made sense to a degree. Other than that, that's really the only ones that have transferred. So
it's also
go ahead.
Yeah, you got it.
Andrew makes the point that only way it happens if Dabo changes his philosophy. But even if he changes his philosophy and goes and gets guys out of the portal, who is he going to bring in at wide receiver to knock Wesco and Moore down a peg?
Cam Coleman.
Yeah, you have to go really, really
Jeremiah
outbid.
Smith.
Ryan.
Good luck.
I don't even know if Ryan Williams knocks him down.
Mario
a peg.
Craver,
the freshman that got hurt at Oregon.
It's a Moore, I think. It's either Dante.
DeCorian Moore.
DeCorian Moore.
Corey
Yes.
Moore.
When did he get hurt?
I don't know if he got hurt, but he's the freshman.
Evan Stewart got hurt.
That's right. Evan Stewart got hurt. So then DeCorian Moore. Yeah.
Sure. Cool. All right. Also, just both of them transferring. It's like mega sell. It's not even just
Yeah.
one, it's both. So the push for Money Mateer, buy or sell, it got brought up in an interview asking Mateer what he thought about the nickname Money Mateer kind of after Johnny Manziel, and he said he goes to church in the morning, so he doesn't really like it. Fans of the nickname, not a fan of the nickname, buy or sell.
I mean, I think it's kind of fire, but I think what was more fire was his response, because they were like, "Oh, like, do you think you're like Manziel?" And he goes, "Manziel." He's like, "No, because I go to church." So, like, that is more fire than the nickname. But I don't hate it or love it. It just kind of is. Like, I don't like the idea of like trying to like force it, and be like, "Oh, he's like Johnny Manziel. We should call him the same thing." So, like, in that aspect, like, I think that guys should have like their like a unique thing.
Give him a nickname then right now.
No. I don't know. Something.
Mateer the Steer.
I was gonna say something to do with sports gambling. But
Yeah.
I mean, the Steer works because they're also the Sooners.
Yeah, that's off the dome. That's pretty good. I did love the comment from the person that was like, "You're saying you're not like Manziel, but yet you sports gamble."
Allegedly.
I'm gonna
Not
sell.
allegedly.
100% did it. You cannot convince me otherwise.
No
He
proof.
100%
It's still
did it.
There's literally Venmo transactions.
He
all-
thinks someone would jokingly label their Venmo transactions.
I think that's personally. I think that's funny. Like,
not
that's
in
just my
not in that manner. If that's the case, then this guy
money
doesn't-
line Mateer. Yeah.
Oh, that's fire.
That's it, Andrew.
Oh my
I like
gosh,
that
that's way better than money material. Money
Yeah.
line material is fire.
I wish
Wow.
the reporter clapped back with that. So how
Oh,
about
that's
money line?
so
Mateer?
No,
Okay.
if you're joking about Venmo transactions, you say drugs.
Yeah,
But, like,
sex.
You don't get specific with the game, or like.
But I think in my opinion, like the fact that he was like so, I think that's funny.
not poker. Like that.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
the things you write.
But like for him, like he's not allowed to sports gamble, and so I guess if he assumes that like, oh, everyone knows this. Okay, in my brain, I'm like, if I am not allowed to do something and everyone knows that I'm not allowed to, I'm just not going to do it. So it's funny to like make fun of myself doing it.
Yes.
That's the part of me that I think. Is
The
kinda
only way you do that if you're a college athlete, though, is if you're the biggest dumbass ever, and I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him more credit than that, and so I think he actually was.
fun. Okay. Well, there's still no proof. No
I'm
proof.
going to sell
There's
because
I will also sell.
as an A&M fan, that's a pretty high standard.
so
I want to see more from it.
Moneyline material, I will buy.
I
will
will-
put-
I will-
I'm selling
yeah.
all my other stock and buying Moneyline
I'll
material.
buy Moneyline Mateer, too.
We'll all sell that then.
Okay, let's move on. Ahmad Hardy is the best running back in the country. Buy or sell. He's getting tons of smoke for that. A ton of people on Twitter are calling him that. Y'all's thoughts, buy or sell?
I have not been able to watch much of him, or any. I don't think I've watched any of him. I've heard a lot about Bo Pereira and seen some of his stuff. Have not watched a lot of Missouri games. Any Missouri games? I keep saying a lot of. I haven't watched any Missouri games yet. But I think that the standard with guys like Jeremiah Love and Jonah Coleman, and then the Penn State running backs Singleton and the other one.
Singleton's better than Katron.
Thank you, Singleton. So I think that there are too many other guys who are like elite. I'm not saying he's not a part of that group, but you have to like be incredibly special to earn the title like the best, right? Because there's a lot of other guys who are on the same level as you. So I'm going to sell.
He's pretty special, but I'm also going to sell. I think I would take him over anyone but Jeremiah Love. And so I'm going to sell because that puts him at 2.
Yeah, I'm selling. I'd take Nick Singleton and Love over him.
I think it's a
personally.
little bit of like fatigue of like Ahmad Hardy.
Not that he's
the
not
new shiny toy, and he is fantastic.
Yeah, I just hate I
But-
hate this of blowing out his candle to brighten
Correct.
someone else.
He's unreal. He is unreal. But
I had no problem with him being one of the best. Like that's and
correct.
And maybe you can't establish who is the best. Like maybe that they're all. And what
Yeah.
about Jonah Coleman? Like y'all didn't mention him, but like he's been really good at Washington.
He's been fantastic.
So I don't think we have to like snuff out anyone's scandal. Like I just don't. I think it's hard in a sport where there's 136 teams playing and 136 starting running backs. It's hard to identify like who is the best.
Yeah. Sure.
That's kind of the reality.
And I will agree with Andrew that Hardy has the best chance to win Heisman out of any of them because he's the best player in that offense. He's kind of the engine.
I'd take Haynes King over him.
Valid. Okay. Team not named Georgia or Texas to win the SEC. Buy or sell?
Is this conference like regular season or conference championship?
Conference championship.
Conference championship.
I'll go first because I have an answer. I'm going to sell because I'm holding on for dear life to my national championship preseason pick of Alabama,
Yeah.
and so I'm still gonna back them, or someone else because it doesn't have to be them. So I'm gonna sell this. JP's gonna pick Oklahoma, so he might as well just go ahead
Yeah,
and sell
I
this
kind of
stock.
think I'm also gonna sell.
Well, wouldn't that mean you guys are buying? Team not.
You're right. I'm gonna buy the crap out of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I think I will also buy. I think there's other teams. I think LSU can compete. I think that Vanderbilt. No, I mean, who knows in the SEC? Who knows what could happen? They could get lucky and
You
win
got
a couple
Bama,
upsets.
A&M, LSU, Oklahoma. Those are really
Ole Miss,
the ones you could say.
possibly.
Ole Miss maybe, but the inconsistency at quarterback is going to hinder them at some point. It may hinder
Yeah.
them this coming weekend against LSU.
But you can lose a regular season game, and if it only hinders you once, and then or maybe even twice, you can still go and
It's
win.
going to hinder them more than once, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to sell, though. I think Georgia still wins the SEC right now.
Sure.
I think they've got the best path to do it to hosting Bama and Texas. And so they can get the head-to-head over each of them. So even if they were to have a slip-up, which they're not going to, then they'll be fine. Their two toughest games left in the SEC, hosting Bama, hosting Texas. Their road games at Auburn and at Mississippi State.
Do they only have 4?
They host
Oh,
the
those
school,
you just
they
said the
host the school up north.
Yep.
And they go to Jacksonville to play Florida.
Yeah.
And neither of those I don't think are going to attest them enough. So I think they have the easiest path. They're going to win the SEC right now if you had to ask me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're kind of the odds-on favorites to do so. But next one, and this almost didn't make the list because just you all will see in a second, but I decided to honor the person that sent it in. Georgia Tech doesn't lose in the regular season.
I got to pull up their schedule.
Georgia Tech has to play Wake Forest, but they play at Duke is their toughest. And then, of course, the
Syracuse
Georgia
at home.
game at the end of the year. Syracuse without Angeli, I don't think will test them.
That's fair.
They're at NC State. That
We'll
could
see if they
potentially
bounce back,
test
yeah.
them. At Boston College late in the year if it's cold. And if that's the red bandana game.
But even if it's cold, they're rushing offense. Like they're still
the rushing offense is just Haynes King, though.
yeah. but
Haynes
like-
King has to survive the season is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also, I just don't see them beating Georgia. On top of, they were good last year against the top teams and still lost to other games. And so I don't think they're an upset-proof team. So I'm going to sell this pretty easily. I am rooting for it, though, Tucker. I agree. It'd be 12-0 Georgia Tech would be pretty fire.
Electric.
Is
12-0 Georgia Tech the number 1 team in the country?
No,
Okay.
because someone else is going to be undefeated.
Okay.
And it would probably be a Big Ten team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be either
And they
or
would have a
here, Penn
better
State.
resume.
Yeah, or Ohio State.
But they're top 3.
They're probably top. They're probably number 2 because Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, don't they all play each other? So
I
only one of them can finish undefeated or something? Is
yes.
that right? Yeah. So they're probably number 2 if they're undefeated. I mean, this is
I
all
just
like,
don't think their resume is good enough for number 2. Like, I think even a one loss, like whoever had lost to whoever the number 1 team was in the Big Ten.
But if you had just beat Georgia, I feel like.
What if Georgia's just terrible?
Yeah, what if Georgia's floor is
Georgia's
7
terrible
and 5?
now.
Their floor is 7 and 5 right
floor
now.
is-
So,
Oh gosh.
um,
Now we're just saying crap. Here's a question: if Georgia Tech is 11-0, why wouldn't you rest Haynes Kings in your starters against Georgia? I don't think Haynes King would sell
Not
for
the
that.
Brent, yeah.
because that's not who Haynes King is.
or
Yeah.
Brent Pry.
Key.
Or Brent Pry. What the heck? Brent
Yeah,
Pry's out of a job.
That's like if you're playing, NCAA 25 and you have like zero stake in the game other than like,
Clean old fashioned hate.
yeah, it is a rivalry. Yes, if you were like a CEO and you're just moving pieces around, that makes sense, but it would never happen.
And it's also kind of a scam because the reason they moved the game was so that they could get paid more money. And then you don't play your best players in the game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like you're scamming the Mercedes-Benz
Yeah.
for that. So I don't know if that
That won't slide.
if there's I don't think there's legal repercussions to that, but it doesn't feel very legal, I guess, to a degree.
I'll buy. Why
wow.
not?
Okay.
I
bad,
mean,
bad
insane.
value.
no, it's great value. It's fine. So no, wait, you're selling,
Sell.
sell. So
Haynes King is the biggest piece. He had only 8 carries this weekend, so they kind of took that away a little
they
That's
had
bit.
to
good.
take care of him. Okay, last one.
you missed one.
I'm
at the
not
top.
going back to that
Okay,
one
cool.
because we talked about them already. So I feel like
Okay.
I had it on there so we could talk about them, and then we did it in the key takeaways.
Cool.
Diego Pavia is a top 6 SEC QB, buy or sell.
Context.
Like, if you were starting a team and you were
But it's just for a year, or like it's just for this
it's
Doesn't
season.
how
need
it's
context
how
on
they're
that,
playing
too.
right now.
Right, but like if you're starting a team, you would take someone young, right? But like if you just
If
had
you're
if you're
drafting
building
a team for this year,
right? That's the
and it's not like the situation they're in doesn't necessarily matter. It's like who's playing the best ball
yeah.
right now. Who do you think are the best?
Mateer,
Yeah.
probably Nussmeier. I don't know.
Are you
Okay.
waiting for me to fill in, or are you making your own list?
No, I'm just like trying to think of guys that are playing well right now. Perbula's playing really well
Okay.
right now. I'm trying to think if like I'm trying to like list the guys who I think are at the top and then see if there are less than like 5. guys.
Marcel Reed, Mateer, Garrett Nussmeier, Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
Joey Aguilar.
Yeah.
And then you're in the debate of is he playing
Lenore Sellers?
is he
No.
playing better than Lenore Sellers, Bo Perbula, because this would be the 6th spot. Ty Simpson,
Taylon Green.
Taylon Green,
Yeah.
the Ole Miss quarterbacks combined.
Dude, I would take them in a heartbeat if I could get that.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Or DJ Lagway.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's better,
Yes.
playing better than the Sellers.
He's playing better than Arch.
He's playing better than like.
But
Ray.
yeah,
Playing better
is
than
he
Shapen.
playing better than Sellers or Perbula?
I think he's playing better than Sellers. I don't. Perbula
Or
has
Ty
been
Simpson.
really good.
Tucker Medlin loves Diego Pavia. I'm gonna sell. He's close, but I like too many of the other guys more than him. I could give you my list if you really wanted it, if it was that deep to y'all. But I'm gonna sell.
I'm going to sell as well.
I'm gonna buy. I like Diego Pavia. I like him more now that I know.
What
that
do you like about him?
He's like the Haynes King of the SEC, where he just like runs the ball and he's gonna like get the first down somehow. Like it doesn't make sense how he's able to like some of the plays he makes are really good, and then also he's really fun to watch. Like the things that he does that are stupid at times, but right now they're working. Very fun to watch. So he's a very fun quarterback to watch, and he's
Sure.
winning right now. So there's a lot to love there. I had something else to say. I don't remember what it was.
Sellers also threw some passes that Diego Pavia has no chance of completing in that game, in my opinion. So that's why I still take Sellers over
Yeah,
Pavia.
I think Pavia would have a trouble throwing those kind of throws in a video game with the video game version of him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is Diego Pavia is a good QB. He's playing really well. So I'm not. I feel like I'm not trying to dog him too hard.
I was gonna say.
But it's just a very talented QB league conference.
Yeah, I'm glad he announced that he's not coming back for another year after that news broke.
Who?
Sure.
Pavia. There on 3
okay.
was like Pavia's lawyer is suing for another year of eligibility, and Pavia tweeted like that's cap, like I'm done. And I was
No.
like, I respect that. Like I think
Chick-fil-A needs him.
yeah, I'm about to say you probably should have done. You're in year 6
Sure.
or whatever now. But I'm glad that you're not like that. You're just gonna be done. I respect
Yeah.
that.
So we all sold. No, Sanders bought.
I bought.
Cool. Sanders is buy happy. Keep him away from the stock
I
market.
literally sold more than I bought.
We all did.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying saying that I'm buy happy. I sold more than I bought.
I bought one stock.
Twice. You bought here. You bought that Washington is the best quarterback, and you bought a team not named Georgia or
yeah,
Texas.
but you
will
bought
win the SEC.
4 stocks.
You bought twice as much as me or Sanders. You bought as much as us combined.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see if you're right later on. All right, let's get on
Wrap it
out of
up?
here. Yep, wrap it up.
Go watch the Sunday Night Football.
I just thanks Andrew
Another block.
and Tucker for chatting us up in the chat. It means a lot. We really appreciate it. And to anyone else that joined or watched, we really appreciate it. And we'll see you all on Tuesday to recap NFL. Peace.
See ya.
Block takes your point.